a lot, someone that's invested in real estate for decades. Look, finally, there is a network of top agents, and that makes all the difference, in every state of this great country, and they have options that other agents cannot offer you. Write this down, realestateoptionsnow.com. The agents in realestateoptionsnow.com collectively spend millions of dollars on the top marketing systems for selling homes and have millions of dollars available to buy homes and sell thousands of homes, and they do it every single month. And find out with no obligation what your home can sell for in a matter of minutes when you go to realestateoptionsnow.com. You fill out the form right above a picture of me, and you can get your home sold on time for the most amount of money possible. Go to their website, realestateoptionsnow.com.
Fox in the Fast Lane.
For the first time since 2019, the NASCAR Cup Series is back at Chicagoland Sunday for the Aero 400. The Chicago Street Course is no more after 3 seasons, but it's safe to say that this race will be an unpredictable one, as roughly half of this week's field will run their first race on the track. Only 10 drivers have logged at least 5 career races there, and only 3 have won there before: Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and Alex Bowman. This race Sunday also marks round 2 of the in-season challenge, a head-to-head single elimination tournament. Round 1 was last week at Sonoma when Shane Vegasbergen took the checkered flag at the Toyota Save Mart 350. This week, teammates Kyle Larson and William Byron go head-to-head, with the winner moving on to the 3rd round. The action from Chicagoland begins at 6 p.m. Eastern. For Fox in the Fast Lane, Tony Genualdo, Fox News.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
A days-long funeral. I'm Deborah Valentine, Fox News. Hundreds of thousands of people gathering in Iran for the funeral of the late Supreme Leader killed by U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. Fox's Trey Yangst reports from Tel Aviv, Israel.
In his address to the nation overnight, President Trump spoke about the U.S. military and the work of U.S. forces during Operation Epic Fury. The president's remarks come as indirect talks between the United States and Iran move forward. The ceasefire between the two countries does remain in place as regional leaders have expressed the importance of continuing the Memorandum of Understanding. Despite the diplomatic progress, the funeral for Iran's late Supreme Leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, has been a large display of Iranian propaganda as delegations from around the world traveled to Tehran. The funeral will continue until July 9th with millions of Iranians participating.
Several people attending the funeral called for President Trump's death as revenge for the killing of the Supreme Leader. President Trump is set to attend the NATO summit in Turkey this week as he continues to criticize the alliance for not helping the U.S. secure the Strait of Hormuz during the Iran conflict. British ambassador to the U.S., Christian Turner, on Fox's The Sunday Briefing, says NATO helped the U.S. in other ways.
Over 4,000 American sorties flown from European bases in support of Operation Epic Fury. On the second night of the conflict, my country agreed for the use of its bases for overflights and for bombing runs.
European leaders have stressed that NATO is a defensive alliance and that the U.S. and Israel did not consult any of them before starting the conflict. At the World Cup today, the round of 16 continues. It's Brazil versus Norway at the New York, New Jersey Stadium at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Meanwhile, U.S. forward Folarin Balogun's one-game ban is suspended by FIFA, making him eligible to play on Monday. America's listening to Fox News.
From around the world, Trey Yingst joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel, to Washington.
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News.
The husband of California Democratic Representative Nancy Pelosi is once again facing legal trouble. It follows a hit and run. Fox's Alicia Acuna reports from Los Angeles.
The Napa County Sheriff Department says Friday afternoon, deputies responded to a 911 call by a witness who saw a brown convertible crash into a legally parked car and take off after briefly stopping. The California Highway Patrol caught up with the convertible. Authorities say Paul Pelosi was driving. It was heavily damaged and parked on the side of a road blocking the roadway. In a statement, the sheriff said, quote, during the investigation, Pelosi admitted to hitting something, but said he didn't know what he had hit, so he kept driving. He drove until his car became disabled. A field sobriety test determined there was no alcohol in the 86-year-old husband of the Congresswoman.
Pelosi's husband previously pleaded guilty in connection with a drunk driving accident. Nobody was hurt in Friday's crash, and no charges have yet been filed. Stormy weather is helping drive down those sky-high temperatures plaguing much of the eastern U.S.
Big change in the forecast as we saw one more really hot day yesterday. 25 different record-breaking highs, that largely across the mid-Atlantic, getting up into New England a little bit there, but highs hitting 100 degrees. Boy, it's been days and days of that. Finally, some big showers yesterday evening, and you're starting to see some of these temperatures drop. Big change for what we've seen the last couple of days, where even overnight temperatures were only falling down in the mid-80s, maybe closer to 90 degrees. A lot of shower activity across the eastern half of the United States. We're really trading in heat for rain, not just today, but much of the week ahead.
That's Fox Weather's Adam Klotz reporting. The Navy calling off its search in the Arabian Sea after an MH-60S Seahawk from the USS George H.W. Bush went down. One crew member remains missing. 4 others were rescued after the emergency landing. The Fifth Fleet says the joint Navy-Air Force effort covered 1,400 square miles over 102 hours. I'm Deborah Valentine. This is Fox News.
Well, I guess that's my cue to start talking. Sorry, I was playing around with cameras on the screen and all of that stuff. Welcome to 93.3 The Point. Couple of things before we get started. Hold on. Do I need the news theme here? We should probably start off with that here. And big news at 6 o'clock in the morning that may or may not involve a whole lot by way of weather here. Number one, we and many other radio stations are in silent mode or dead carrier mode, and that has a lot to do with how we get our signals to transmitter sites, relay stations, and things like that. There's quite a number of us that are having issues with that right now. Fortunately, we've got a million different streams that you can tune into, point.gu on the World Wide Web. There's Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and for the time that we are on and in, then we'll go ahead and use those technologies to be able to get signals from here to there. I'm going to slow down on the news here for just a second. I believe I have Landon Idlet from the National Weather Service on the line. Good morning, Landon. I think there's something I'm supposed to push, but I'm not sure what it is. Can you hear me? Landon Idlet from the National Weather Service. Come in. I'm doing something wrong, or there's another technical difficulty. I'm not exactly sure what that might be. One more time for Landon. Negative contact. We'll go instead into the weather forecast for you. GPD has taken a 13-year-old male into custody following a string of break-ins at Jose Rios Middle School in Petey. Detectives investigated reports of offices being burglarized, ransacked, and vandalized with graffiti. The minor admitted to his involvement in both school burglaries and was charged with burglary and theft of property. Currently confined at DYA, the investigation remains open as police work to identify other potential suspects involved in the incident. Anybody with information is asked to contact GPD Dispatch 475-8615. I'll try again for Landon on the line. Go ahead. Air. Press that. I feel like I can hear something in the background there.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I hear you now. I'm sorry. It's,
Perfect.
These are Joe's buttons I'm pushing right now, not right. My buttons over on the other side work, but I'm not over there because Joe's not over here. So these are Joe's buttons to push. Sorry about that. And to our listeners, it's going to be one of those kinds of mornings. I'm not entirely sure what this is going to look and sound like over the next, 2 or 3 hours. I know that there's a whole lot going on. The weather has been absolutely atrocious atrocious. Very, very strong all night long. I don't know about you. I didn't get as much sleep as I would have liked to. There's the noises and the roaring of the wind. And this is the easy stuff, right?
Yes, and absolutely. I tried to get a couple of hours around after midnight, but just slept very fitfully. Just a lot of things in my mind, a lot of concerns, both with the staff, the staff not on in the office, but also the folks across the CNMI, and then just the nature of the motion. Lana was able to get a little bit of nap, and now he's up in his office getting ready to work on a few things for the next hour or two.
Oh, so I'm talking to Brandon.
You are talking to Brandon, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I thought it was going to be Lana this morning. It's, to the degree that you guys are interchangeable as twins, that's fine. But yeah, it was it's rough out here. We lost power, I want to say 10-something last night, and it has been coming on and off, but not to the point where I'm comfortable turning off the generator. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with relays. Our transmitters are on. I'm just unable to get the signal up there, and obviously I'm not going to be able to go chase that down until things get quiet. So there was an update. JTWC put out an update at 5 this morning, and it didn't look all that different from what we were seeing at 1 o'clock this morning with the westward movement of Super Typhoon Bavi.
Yeah, and so last night there were some interesting things that really gave us a little bit of unrest. We talk about these stair-step motions. And so yesterday afternoon into the early evening, Bavi was lifting more north-northwest. And then after sunset, it started heading more directly west.
Yeah.
And this little motion lasted for 3, 4, 4.5, 5 hours, and really left some concerning thoughts in my mind, and I know some of the questions with various interviews yesterday evening. What kind of surprises could we wake up to on Monday morning? And we don't like to think about those surprises, and I know there's been some notable surprises with some storms in the past. I think Ponsonnois was one of them. And
ask the people in Saipan, Sinlaku was a surprise.
Exactly. And so to waking up this morning, or just giving up on sleep around 2 o'clock, we have resumed that west-northwest motion. So a couple of things that have updated. Initially, we were looking at maybe 170 mile per hour passage at intensity as it passed through the island chain. Right now, JTWC, they have analyzed it as a little bit stronger and strengthening, and we're looking at about 180 mile per hour intensity as it passes directly overhead or just a smidge north of Rota. So this is continues to be one of those worst case scenarios. Yesterday, the track was midway between Rota and Tinian. It has dropped southward due to that 4 to 5 hour westward jog yesterday evening. And so we're looking at an imminent passage of the eye wall that's going to be approaching Rota in the next couple of hours. We have issued the extreme wind warning a couple of hours ago. We'll be updating that very shortly, but it's going to be extremely devastating, destructive winds across Rota going through the next 6 to 8 hours. This is going to be a long passage. They are very likely to see at least part of Rota or all of Rota could see the clear, calm eye of Bavi later on this morning.
Now, it's something else. I'm looking at it on Zoom Earth right now with the radar feature turned on. So very, very clear eye. We could spend the time talking about whether or not we saw that eye replacement or not, whether it had any kind of impact. But I think there's still a lot of people whose jaws are dropped on the ground hearing about 180 miles an hour. That's sustained wind. That's not gusting. It's 180 sustained.
That's correct. And so those gusts will be well in excess of 200 miles per hour. This is just going to be bad, and I imagine at this point communications are down across Rota. Maybe some backup communications are still in effect, but if anybody can hear this, need to be inside an interior room. Just being inside a concrete shelter might not be good enough in this situation. You want to go into an interior space. And this is going to be a long 6 hours, at least 6 hours going forward. The worst is about to come over. We're looking at the radar. The eye wall has not quite reached Rota, and they might be going through a little bit of a lull. It's going to be windy nonetheless, but pretty much in the next hour or so, very strong winds, severely strong, high-end Category 4, 5 winds will be landfalling on Rhoda. So this is pretty much as serious as it gets.
Prayers for Rhoda's, prayers for all of the Mariana Islands, just because the storm looks like it's going to be going directly over Rhoda or very close to the north end of Rhoda doesn't mean that Guam is out of it. I'm looking at the banding that Guam is in right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can see the rain hitting the glass blocks very, very hard on my side and rattling from all of the shutters and everything. I think that's the soundtrack of the morning for a lot of people that are waking up here this particular Monday morning. Closest point of approach, as you said, maybe a couple hours from now, 8 o'clock, 9-ish or so. But that doesn't mean that we or Rhoda are out of it. We still have an angry backside of the storm to deal with on the way out.
That is correct. And so the timing still looks pretty consistent with what we've been talking about the past 24 to 36 hours since maybe late Saturday. Still looking at that late morning CPA. But for us on Guam, the rainfall is significant on the southwest and the southern side of Super Typhoon Bavi. That means we're going to be continuing these heavy rains we've seen all night, and they're going to continue to line up right over Guam and push over the island. So we're going to be seeing notable and mounting flood concerns as we see that rainfall accumulate throughout the day. Wind-wise, I'm looking at Anderson right now. We've seen a sustained wind peaking at about 54 miles per hour. Gusting, we've been getting up into the low to mid 80 mile per hour range with some of those stronger wind gusts. Same thing for the Guam International Airport, where we've been seeing those sustained winds gradually creeping up in the past 6 hours, where we have seen the peak gust that I'm seeing right now is right about 55 mile per hour sustained. So that's at the very top end of the lower end tropical storm. But we're gusting into the low to mid 80 mile per hour range. So we're right in par with what we saw with Senlaku wind-wise. We're going to see those winds come up even more as we go through the later morning hours, as we get just a little bit closer to the center. But the big story is going to be that rain is going to continue just inundating all of Guam for the morning hours.
What other impact are you hearing about between you and the guys over at the Joint Information Center here? Obviously, there's some utilities that are already down. I know that they were battling some power issues last night before they decided that they were going to otherwise protect themselves and wait it out until things get brighter. And look at it. Look at the time. It's 6:15, and it still looks like it's 5 o'clock in the morning outside. But obviously, they needed to retire their positions and bunker for safety before they go back out. You hearing anything about when they might be able to do that? What about water? Are there water issues that you were hearing about?
Yeah, the only thing I've been hearing is just from folks out in the public, just commenting on our Facebook page about power outages and what part of the villages they're in. I'm not sure about the posturing of GPA, but certainly for the next, probably the next 8 hours, conditions will be quite destructive with those tight tropical storm force winds and very strong gusts. And so at this point, it is just important for everybody to remain in place. Don't move around just yet. Later on this afternoon, evening, winds will still be damaging, but the conditions may start to subside. But it's all going to be dependent on both the winds and the rain. This rain is going to be flooding the streets. It is going to be a lot of impassable areas for a good portion of the today before those rains ease off and then the streets kind of drain out.
What are you hearing from Saipan? We know what things are going to be like in Rhoda. What are you hearing about current conditions in Saipan? Because it looks like they're on the, if I'm looking at the radar right, it looks like they're in a rather benign part of the bands.
Yes, and so at least in the rain side of things, they're kind of favorable. And we've been looking at satellite and radar. I know the radar, you're looking higher up in the atmosphere as the farther you get away from the radar, which is right here in Manila, Guam. But yeah, it looks considerably drier farther up there. with that said, there is a heavy band, not quite as plentifully wet and inundating as we're seeing across Guam, but there is some heavier rain bands pushing across Tinian and perhaps much of Saipan. And so they're going to see some flooding concerns, perhaps not the magnitude of what we saw with Senlaku, where there was some incredible flooding across some of the populated areas and the more urbanized areas of Saipan, but still flood considerations nonetheless. The wind situation, we're seeing typhoon force wind gusts coming into our emails with a lot of the observational sensors crossing some of those thresholds. We've not seen typhoon force winds sustained coming in, but with that said, we have limited observational platforms, pretty much nothing coming out of Rota, nothing out of Tinian, but we do have the airport observations off of Saipan, and then a broader handful of observations coming off of Guam.
Brandon Eidlet from the National Weather Service. Just a note, it was kind of interesting coming out of the 5 o'clock Fox News, where they actually made reference to one of the biggest storms on the planet, if not the biggest storms on the planet, making its way through the Mariana Islands. And so I was reminded that from time to time, you or your brother, because you're both a couple of handsome blokes, will get the calls from the networks and do some Zoom stand-ups to describe to the people in the United States mainland what things are like out here in the fringes of the Republic. Did you get any of those calls today?
Today, not yet, but we did have a stand-up interview with the Fox Weather Channel yesterday evening, and really doing a brief chat about the Super Typhoon Bobby, the conditions, the readiness of people, and just the nature of we can't evacuate. You can't just pack up your car and drive 5 hours inland. We don't have that luxury out here in the islands. You just have to hunker down. If you've got a concrete structure, you know what to do. If you don't, you also know what to do. Go somewhere else. And this is a way of life out here in Typhoon Alley.
And it is last night noting that at least one of the typhoon shelters, the evacuation shelters, were full. Another one was already at 65%. So clearly there's a lot of people that did the smart thing and figured that their place may be damaged from a war that they never recovered from, maybe a little damage from Senlaku that they never were able to recover from, or just concerned that they would not be able to make it in the substandard housing that they lived in. Hopefully they are all right, as everybody is starting to wake up a little bit to the noisy rain and wind that is going on outside. Brandon Landon, I appreciate the time. We'll be out of this before too much longer. There might be room for another follow-up call, either here on 93.3 and our Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Otherwise, thank you very much for your participation in the reels that I've been sending up over the last couple of days. Those have been fun to make and helpful to keep people that wouldn't normally be listening to the radio up to speed on what we're doing. I do appreciate your time so much.
Absolutely, and just a refresher on everybody. We're sitting a quarter after 6 o'clock Monday morning, and we've got CPA, the closest point of approach, perhaps a few hours away from us later this morning. But that does not mean that those conditions are going to subside anytime soon. Heavy rains, strong winds, and gusts will continue into the early afternoon hours. So CPA will pass. We still got those impacts coming for another several hours.
So 180 miles an hour now, and you said there was an intensification track. Is that going to happen between now and passage around Rota, or is that going to happen after it leaves Marianas?
It's pretty much going on, and perhaps at 180 miles per hour, that's at least in the 1 a.m. track forecast from Joint Typhoon Warning Center. That may suggest a peak intensity. Right now, the Dvorak numbers, the satellite-based estimates, are pegging at about T 7.5, and so that's where they're hovering with that 175, 180 mile per hour intensity. T 8.0 is the top of the T numbers, and that is rarely seen. There's been a couple out here in the West Pacific in decades past, but you don't see too many of those 8.0. So we're watching for that. And the satellite analysts at Joint Typhoon Warning Center and the other typhoon agencies, they're watching that and analyzing the satellite imagery in real time. And but 180 miles per hour is close to the peak of what nature will produce, and it does not maintain such intensities for a significantly long time. But unfortunately, we're looking at that intensity, that peak, as it's passing through the Marianas.
And that's why he's the science guy. Brandon Eidlet from the National Weather Service. We'll talk again soon. Keep yourself safe, and we'll continue to pray for the people of Rota.
Absolutely. Take care.
I certainly will. It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point, kind of, sort of. We're just in the socials and on streams right now, as I said. Some kind of issue affecting relays and transmission sites and that kind of thing. We'll work on it when it's safe for us to work on it. Otherwise, I don't know the rush. I think there's a lot of people that have already staked out their claims on where they're getting information from. I think the important thing now is to think about the future. We'll make it through this very windy, very rainy present as the storm is moving through the Mariana Islands, but it will be interesting to see what's left standing. We've not been spared. Our hair is messed, and there are going to be some infrastructure issues to deal with before too much longer. 6:23 in the morning. Let me finish the news, and then we'll go into a couple of other things. I already told you about the juvenile school break-in. Trump has declared an emergency for Guam as the island remains in Core 1 for Super Typhoon Bavi. Congressman Jim Moylan announced the approval, which authorizes federal Category B assistance for emergency protective measures. FEMA response teams are already pre-positioned on Guam. That kitchen group that we heard so much about in the beginning days of Sinlaku are likewise pre-positioned to go and assist Rhoda in their time of critical need. FEMA response teams already pre-positioned. The agency's local distribution center is stocked with over 1 million liters of water and 1 million meals, plus thousands of cots and blankets. Liaison officers are embedded with the Guam Emergency Operations Center to coordinate closely with local officials. There's folks that need to be welcomed back. GPA brought its line workers and engineers home from Saipan Saturday in time to prepare for Super Typhoon Bavi. The crew has been assisting with post-Typhoon Sinlaku recovery efforts since April. GPA General Manager John Beneventi stated that bringing the personnel home ensured they had time to secure their own families and households before the storm hits. With the full team back on island, GPA is now fully staffed to respond to potential power outages, downed line, equipment damage caused by Bavi. The utility will reevaluate recovery assistance for Saipan after the storm passes. As Guam remains in Core 1, Docomo Pacific has announced a partnership with Starlink Mobile. I told you this was going to happen. We said that they were hooking up with, was it Globe? I think it's Globe up in the Philippines. And I said, I wonder if they're talking to anybody here. And the answer is, yeah, they're talking to Docomo. So they're going to provide free emergency connectivity for customers. If terrestrial mobile networks fail during or after the storm, customer devices will automatically connect to the Starlink satellite network. The service is designed to enable SMS messaging, ensuring residents stay connected even when primary towers are unavailable. The coverage extends across Guam, the Marianas, and surrounding waters. Docomo Pacific says the service requires no manual setup by customers and serves as a critical safety measure to support public communications throughout the storm's recovery. And that's what we've got for you here this morning by way of news and a lot of time with Brandon Islet from over at the National Weather Service. I'm going to put this back up on the screen so that you can see what's going on real time. Zoom.earth. If you don't already have it as a bookmark in your browser or as an app on your phone, you need to start thinking about getting this. This is not going to be the last of the storms between now and the end of this El Nino period. So it's nice to know that you've got something in your pocket that will give you the alerts when something happens, when an invest begins. That's how I knew about this, and let you know what else might be going on in the Pacific. There's another one out in China, MESAC, I think is the name of that, and you can watch that one in real time if you get bored with this. I will go and take a look at the WhatsApp. The meme machine is online here this morning. Normally we'd grab a couple of breaks here and there, but what the heck. It's not like I can charge for it anyway, right? So I thought I'd give you an idea of what things look on the eastern side of the island. Jeff over at Pirates Cove, a rather dark and gloomy morning as the sun begins to... No, it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any brighter anytime soon. So I think we're just going to have to deal with some of these gloomy images. You can tell it's just because it's got the big sign out in there, but it looks like the winds have been knocking some of the leaves off the trees, and my guess is the water in the eastern side of the island rather boiling right about now. It's one of my favorite trees that we've got here on Guam. Reminds me of the one over at Torrey, just because it's kind of at a jaunty angle and one of my favorite morning pictures. Very, very gray on that side of the island. We'll continue to watch and see what the big deal is going to be. 888-8255 if you want to call in and see what's going on. Not sure who's on the phone because I don't have a producer writing things into a computer. Hi, my name's Ray. What's yours?
My name's Logan Regis. How's it going, Ray?
Logan, good to hear from you. I'm glad that we were able to hook up. You get any sleep last night, or the boys keep you awake?
I might have gotten an hour, maybe.
It's like that. Even in the bunker, the Civil Defense Homeland Security bunker, it's still rather noisy, and there's still rather a lot that is going on. I read with a great deal of interest some of the things that you've been sending out all night long, primarily concerned and curious about what you were hearing from the utilities. I'm not sure who their spokespeople are or what the communication is with you. My recollection is you should be able to zip around a room and go talk to one of the people in the relief agencies. But for our listeners, Logan Regis, what can you tell us about what's happening with the utilities from your perch right now?
Well, we are getting reports of outages around the island, various outages, but this was to be expected with the increasing winds and just the passages of the storm. I don't have any attribution, but what we are telling residents is that for any emergency power issues, down power lines, anything like that, GPA does have a 24-hour trouble dispatch at 671-475-1472 or 73 or 74, where they can report those issues. Let's see. Last night, I can't speak for GPA, but I know that they go out as conditions are safe, right? Until or they do what they can when they can.
It ain't going to be safe for a while. That's you don't have to be a meteorologist to make that kind of prediction here.
Yeah.
Heavy winds, lots and lots of rain, and we're going to have to wait until we get a whole lot more by way of sunshine before I'd send a team out to do any kind of recovery. So I think you're absolutely right on that. 100% occupancy at one of the emergency shelters last night.
Yes, sir. The latest numbers that I have, actually, that was, let's see, Stumbo Elementary School was at 100% capacity. Machinau was at 85%. Let's see, Maria Ujoa, 63%. And then Orta Chalampago Elementary School, 13%. Talafofu was at 7%.
Amazing. Thankfully, the people recognized they had issues with their domiciles and decided that they were going to scram until things got a whole lot better. And I hope that they're able to make it through with all of that. Governmental operations, otherwise, we're in Core 1, not expected to have anybody do anything by way of work unless you're part of the skeleton army until we return to Core 4.
Yes, sir. Guam is in Core 1. That means we're in the most dangerous stage of this storm, and everyone should already be sheltered indoors and stay indoors. This is a very powerful storm. We're looking at maximum sustained winds of 180 miles per hour, but for Guam, right, we're actually, let's see, what was my last number? We're actually not going to see winds of that speed. We're more 50 to 80 miles per hour with gusts up to 100.
Yeah.
Rainfall 12 to 20 inches is possible. Flash flooding is a serious concern through all the way through tomorrow early. And, we're looking at the worst conditions for us coming up, let's see, it's 6:30, so between 8 a.m. and noon today. That's the latest.
Yeah, that's my understanding on that as well. Anything from GPD Guam Fire, any issues that they're reporting early in the morning?
No updates from them as of now, but I can go and link up with our racks over there in the EOC and get the latest, and if there's anything that needs to be communicated.
No, I'm sure they're secured like everybody else.
Yeah.
I think the only other question is that with regard to airplane traffic in and out of Guam, do we know when the first flights are going to be coming in? Normally, you just call the travel agency, call the airline directly, but I'm wondering if you're hearing anything from the Guam International Airport on when they might be able to open things up.
No, I believe the airport does an assessment, and then they communicate that to the public, but I don't have word on that. We're just getting into the worst part of the storm, so...
So you've got Jenna back there. She's working now at the Guam Visitors Bureau and has been detailed to the Joint Information Center. Interesting, because she was the one before that used to run the JIC. Is she telling you guys anything about what things are like in the hotels with the tourists enjoying a super typhoon as part of their vacation adventure?
Well, she actually did bring up one thing that I thought was really interesting that GVB tracks, and it's kind of this a stranded passenger that basically visitors who may not have the means to extend their stay. So I guess GVB sometimes intervenes, but don't quote me on that. But this time around, we didn't have any of those stranded passengers, so that's really interesting.
It is kind of interesting. I guess they all came for the weather then. I'm not stranded. This is what I came for. I like this kind of stuff. Interesting the night I'm sure that you guys had over at the JIC. Hopefully, as quiet as it sounds, maybe that is going to be as quiet as it's going to get for Guam as we watch this storm make its way, unfortunately, through Rota, maybe over Rota, and maybe a little bit into the channel between Rota and Tinian. No doubt, our people are going to be standing by to find a way to provide assistance one way or the other. Logan, I appreciate your time. Have a fantastic rest of the day. You stay safe.
Ray, thank you for your time, and thank you for getting information out there to the public. We really appreciate it.
Do what we can. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. 888-8255-888-TALK. I mean, you can call the radio station, too, if you want to. Otherwise, I'm taking a look to see what folks are talking about on the Facebook side and the YouTube side. I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I'd be able to find the song that we're supposed to play, the thing from Cheers or whatever. Just imagine we played it already. And I'll take a look and see who's hanging out in the machines here this morning. Simon Sanchez at the top of the list. I don't know that he was first. I just got to this thing a few minutes ago. Simon Sanchez at the top of my list. Chris Antalan, we're all strong because of Eric Chong. That's what Joe says. EOD Kaboom says generator powering the ham shack and the fish tank. And FYI, he's a ham radio guy. And the Guam amateur radio guys have been running a net on their FM relay system. What is it, every third hour for the last couple of days? I obviously haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but if you've got one of those FM repeaters and you've got what's in the basis, what are we talking about, technician license, you might be able to check in and see what it is the boys are talking about. Ismael Velez is in there. B-Man Dennis Larson asking everybody to stay safe, Guam, from out in Italia. Tracy Perez Limtiaco from the Guam Power Authority. Thanks for broadcasting today. Point fam. Okay, Joe's trying to give me tips on how to work the system. You know, I built this. But it's not my buttons anymore. Lynn Vince Borja Polino says, thank you for being on, Ray. No problem. That's the gig. Gina Mercado is watching. Marie Arejo. Kangat is there. Ray, Therese Mandiola, Rose Pangilinan, Ken, Evelyn Rages, Hava John Wigston. Nice to see you online. Marzi ZDJ, half a day to you. Sonia Kanata, we'll let you know. Marzi, you know what? When you're gigging, you're welcome to call in and let us know where you guys are performing at, what it is that you guys are up to these days. Is that the right picture that I wanted to put up on the screen? Probably not. That's the right one. Sonia Kanata. Gene Fujikawa says, good morning, Ray. Back on Guam since June 11. Family's back in Vietnam for an in-law death anniversary, so they're missing the typhoon. Is experiencing whiteout. Agana Heights is experiencing whiteout rain conditions, heavy winds, no tornadoes. Stay safe, Guam. Chris Antalan, Vicky Schragi, praying for everyone's safety from over 8,000 miles away. Hunker down and remember, this too shall pass. Tony Ignacio's there. Let me see. Ken Evelyn Rages hanging out. Helenita Los Banes Diras is online. Alpha Chris Antalan. Bill Wyndham praying from Georgia. We really appreciate that. We're okay. I think it's general anxiety and waiting for things to calm down. It's going to be a couple hours yet. But try and put yourself in the place of the people that are in Rota, and even a little bit of Tinian and Saipan, and imagine some of what they may be thinking about right now. Rose Pangilinan. Pam Duval says she's a wicked one. It's true. Mark Colby hanging out. Good to see you. Roy Zapanta, Manny Tenorio. Mark Colby is hanging out with us this morning. Good to see M.N. Rose. Usually at times like this is the right-click instructions for Real Joe to check it out. Water still available in Jigo, says Tom Jones. Nice to see you in the line. Kalasa Chad says prayers from Santa Barbara, California. Class Shelling. And Keenan McCausland checking in from Washington State. Good to see you there. Millette Santos. Bill Wyndham is there. Vanessa Flower. Half a day to you. Mindy Kevin. Hey, I know those guys. Nice to see you online. Let me see. Joe Cruz with more instructions. Manny Tenorio. Sarita Garin says, we got this. Guam prayers to our neighboring islands. JAA Ag is watching. I hope I'm getting all the names here. This important. A little family reunion on Typhoon Day. Andre Artero hanging out. Half a day to you, Luisa C. Regis. We got a number of Regises here in the machine. But Bernice Afaisin Sablan. Half a day to you, Anna Lynn Nicole. Half a day. Underground Dungeon Halloween Store. Guam is watching. Nice to see you. Almost time to start thinking about Halloween, isn't it? Half a Tony Ignacio, Mikey Sablan. It's a big crowd here this morning. Appreciate everybody checking in. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to everybody. Chris Jones, how do I find Logan's page? You don't find Logan's page. Logan's page finds you. Have a John type to know. Then Sep San. Yep. It looks like we've got a bigger than the regular crowd here. So, quick question. Other than all of this, how was your 4th of July weekend? How was your Independence holiday? Did everything go kind of the way you were hoping it did? Obviously had a great Friday. Woke up and went out and got a little bit of a run-in down in Tumon. Absolutely loved it. And I don't know if I mentioned it in one of the deals. You know, I'm always when I'm talking about going down to especially Epau Beach Park and seeing all the trash and the refuse that people leave behind. And I'd gotten to my favorite pavilion. It's the one closest to the beach on the northern side of Epau Beach Park. I'm sure you've been there at a birthday party or something like that. And I get there, and there's a case of what looked like about was a 12-pack of beer and a couple of empty beer bottles and one full unopened beer bottle. And some chips. So I took the chips and I gave the chips to the birds that had assembled. And I started looking around going, wait a second, there's not just one unopened beer bottle. There's like 3 unopened beer bottles. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to call that a deal. We're even now. I'll clean up your mess. Thank you very much for leaving me a couple of Friday beers. Didn't drink them right away because it's warm, but they occupied for a short time a limited amount of space in the refrigerator. That was part of a pretty interesting Friday. Got to be Saturday. And that was an interesting Independence Day. Did the Guam Running Club's 6.7 mile Spirit of 76 run? Thank you, Richard, Manny, and all the volunteers for putting it together. Tougher than usual, I think maybe because of too many mind here with dealing with the storm and all of the stuff that I still had yet to do at the house. Confession time, I technically started doing the heavier part of my prep. Let me see, what time did I get here last night? About 6? Yeah, about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon was when I did the finishing touches on all the prep that I needed, but I didn't get that started until about Sunday sometime. Take your time. As old Pacific hands know, there's no need to do any of that rushing. And then after that, put everything together and got by the radio station. I was bragging earlier about finally, after, 7 or 8 years we've been calling storms here at the radio station, finally got around to ordering a cot from Amazon.com. So I got this Coleman cot, and the first thing that I realize is it's only a little bit more comfortable than the floor. And the second thing that I realized, and I'd never accounted for this, is the cold air from the floor actually floats up. And I didn't bring another blanket to protect me from the cold air from the bottom. I brought one to wrap myself up in the top. So, lessons learned. And I think that's another one of these, the blessings when we start talking about what it is that we're dealing with in storms and all of that. I think with every storm, there's going to be a what did we learn about this one. Again, a reminder, if you might be looking for me on 93.3, that's, as far as I know, that's dead stick for right now. The transmitters are actually on, but for some reason lost only to Super Typhoon Bavi. I'm not sure why our signal is not being able to penetrate the storm to get up to the transmitter site. That's something I'd like to work on, but obviously I want to work on it when it's safe. So I will continue to be able to jump in and out on the social medias or here on the feed through the course of the morning. Something that you want to talk about, something you want to know, by all means, let me know about it. You can call in at 888-825-888-TALK. Meme Machine is online. I played some pictures earlier from Jeff over at Pirates Cove. I got to get this one on the air. There was a joke floating around about and I know it was floating around because I said it. I repeated it. There was a joke floating around that Governor Lulian Guerrero was going to call everybody that bought apparently endless supply of Ryobi fans from Home Depot, get everybody together over at Adelup or something like that, and everybody point their Ryobis at the Super Typhoon, and maybe that was going to blow it away. And by all means, somebody put together an AI version of that. Thousands of Ryobi fans across the Marianas blowing away Typhoon Bavi. Isn't it amazing what you can do with AI these days? And it took me a couple of minutes to go and find this, one of my favorite images from the Sinlaku time, when it was very, very clear that the Marianas, all of the Marianas, were a target. And it's which Mary are we named after? I like to think it's the Blessed Mother Mary. And so this is one of my favorite pictures that somebody conjured up with the AI, and you can tell it's AI. Because in this one, our Blessed Mother has not one, not two, but three hands. And the joke on that one was that she was lending a hand to the Pacific folks. Okay, got it. Appreciate that. Let me see. Gil Pelobello online. Every typhoon is a learning process. It's true. Power Way in Woostig Road just went out. Sarita says, we bought Ryobi fans years ago. Best investment we ever did. Appreciate that. I see Real Joe continuing to be watching. Among the guys, it's early in the process for it, but if you're able to have my classmate Frank Blas Jr. give me a ring here at the radio station, that would be cool. That way we can talk to him a little bit and see what he's got to say about preparations. I know he's already getting started or already has in his head a bookmark for preparations to provide some kind of relief to the folks up in Rhoda in particular. But maybe Tinian is going to get hit with some degree of the heavy winds and the rains that we are experiencing likewise. I'm not sure about relief efforts that we're going to need to do here on Guam. We'll just have to wait and see. There's usually a portion to the broadcast made possible, but it's still way early in the process. And as I said, these are Joe's buttons, and even if he were here, I'm not sure what exactly we'd be doing by way of commercials. So I know that guys like KFC were able to stay open for as long as possible yesterday. We'll let you know when they're in a position that they can reopen. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink to the folks over at KFC. You know how to get a hold of me, so let me know when you guys are going to safely open, and we'll pass the word. Infusion was likewise doing all kinds of stuff as long as they could. Until it became very obvious. Same thing with the Micronesia Mall, Burger King, etc. In fact, we generally do this as we come out of these storms. If you've got what I refer to as an openage or a closages, then let us know about it. Fastest way to do that is on the meme machine, 7978255. I was going to give you the fax number, but we don't have a fax number anymore here because it's 2026. But there's if you know how to get a hold of me, then no problem. Let me see. Agania Heights, Joe Cruz says, is without power at this time. And Uncle Si is going to be calling in. All right, got it. EOD Kaboom. Oh, I totally agree. Says, best investment ever, butane stove. What I use regularly in lieu of regular stove is the butane stove. I bought one from the mom and pop, not too far away from the house. It's a big one. It's as big as a radio station console, and you can throw a couple of steaks on that. And it's the other reason why I like it is because it's big enough so that it will take. I don't know if you're a fan of this, but you ever go and just get a whole bunch of thinly sliced meats of different varietals? Pork meat and steak meat and chicken meat, and then you marinate it in all kinds of Korean flavors, and then you put it on this little pan, and you can smoke it. It's got a little place in the center. I thought it was a chimney. It's not. It's where you put garlic, so it cooks on the inside of that, and it's got these little ridges that you've got, so you can control the heat. Basically, what they have in the restaurants, but that's the thing that I got over at my place. It was like $60, but they threw in a 6-pack of the butane. And I honestly have not even thought about using the regular stove since then. It's one of those things. I think I don't want to sound like an aspersion or anything, but I think it is also possible that there are a number of people that use that instead of the stove on a regular basis. I think somebody did the mathematics. Simon might have do the mathematics. I think it's cheaper to cook on the butane stove than it is to cook with a regular stove. Roland Guerra says, Hafare, power station on standby. Mong Mong power is good. Ro, that doesn't help me. I live in Tortu. What's it like down the street? Mong Mong should have gotten some love right around, the transition from Mong Mong to Mighty. There were a bunch of guys from GPA with, I think, I don't know if they've made a major announcement, but apparently GPA now has a battery-powered bucket truck. And that's what they were using there. And they put the skin on the thing, and it was almost celebratory watching them do that deal. Neats says, Bavi seems to be stationary at Rhoda's doorstep. Hurry and leave already. Okay, thanks for the notice. Let me go back on the visuals and see what I got for you. Let me see if I can restart this and give you an idea. All right, there it is, 5:50 now, 6 o'clock in the morning. And maybe some eye wobble here. Hopefully it wobbles a little bit more north and spares Rhoda a direct hit. It does look like it might have hit a pocket or something like that. But it'll go back on the move. The conventional wisdom is that it's going to move through here about 10 miles an hour. I think that's the figure that I was looking at, closest point of approach. Depending on how you math it, my math says some parts of Guam are going to see it at 8 o'clock in the morning. Other parts are going to see it about 9 o'clock in the morning. Won't make all that much difference because heavy winds, heavy rains are going to feel the same wherever you are. Real Joe, there's your real guy. Stephen Blake is online. Galo Baletu is watching the program on the YouTube side. Like I said, happy to take whatever messages that you've got and maybe use them to do a little bit of riffing here. EOD Kaboom says Starlink. What do I call it? Starlink is holding strong. That was literally the last thing that I did yesterday as I was making my way to the radio station was taking the Starlink apart on the roof. Yeah, and there's another question. We should see another free month, hopefully, from Elon Musk. Fred Bloss Jr. watching the program. May Weilbacher Smith is checking in. J.B. St. Nicholas is watching the program here this morning. Like, follow, share. We normally end up doing, something like 4 hours of talk radio here in the morning. And that's, opportunities to talk to different people in different places and news and weather and traffic. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about weather right now. Don't know if we need to spend a whole lot of time talking about traffic. I was thinking about that as I was stirred awake by noises outside of my office last night as I was trying to get comfortable on the cot. I thought I could hear cars going down the road, and I thought, well, that's crazy. In the middle of the night, we got a typhoon in front of us, and there's people still driving around. But then it also occurred to me, it might not be a car. That might be debris. Political sign or something that got loose that is going up and down the roadway. So I don't know. It does look like we're seeing a little bit more by way of light. It's going to be overcast all day, so I'm not putting out any hope that we're going to see anything like sunny skies here. We got that plenty on Friday and Saturday, and we had a good chunk of it yesterday. In fact, somebody was commenting that we could have gone to the beach yesterday before things started cutting loose here. Fortunately, we didn't. And so we find ourselves in the spot that we are. So probably don't need to do any traffic, but just for funds, let me see if I can take a look at the map and see if there's anybody that's doing anything. Do we have any intersections that are slow? Yeah, there it is. Ipao slow in the Sang Song as usual. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't look like there is any traffic on Guam. I'm not seeing anything green or yellow or red. So there is none of that. There's a bunch of different radars that I might be able to look at here. There's one now. radar imagery, and this is about the same technology as they're using for Zoom Earth, so we're not going to see a whole lot that's different. You can see Guam, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan Islands of the Marianas that are different colored here because they are all under different watches and warnings. It's been a minute since I've had a chance to take a look at the global satellite imagery. The satellite that you're looking at in the Zoom Earth is a different satellite than the one that you get when you go to GOES. This one here is not taken every 10 minutes. The one on Zoom Earth is a 10-minute, it refreshes itself every 10 minutes. This one here goes a little bit longer, but I think it packs more data that guys like Brandon and Landon are able to see in all of this. So I'm not sure if I can zoom in on this at this time. Probably not. Roland Guerra says GTA internet down. Hopefully Wi-Fi still intact. Watching on the Facebook. EOD Kaboom says need an on-location report to say it's windy. I've got a banana for a microphone. Bro, you ought to be rocking a Heil microphone into whatever it is that you're doing. The HF really does make a difference in people's ability to copy your voice on the HF frequencies. Closing in on 7 minutes or so away from the top of the hour. We will take a break and go to Fox News Live. I'll see if between Joe and I, we might be able to set up a couple of calls with some interesting people between here and there. I'm not holding out any kind of hope that we are going to be spending a lot of time in the program. It's certainly not 4 hours. I mean, I'll stay on as long as I can. Donna D reporting my power went out last night at 8. Now my internet is starting to die. Signal's getting worse and worse. Okay, so it might not be a signal issue. It might be congestion on the line between you and all of your neighbors. If you're all in the same telecoms, there might be a whole lot of pressure on the telecom companies to support everybody that is doing voice, everybody that's doing the data, everybody that's doing the SMS, and uploading different streams to different places. Got a note from Albert Wan from over at Boss 104 says streams are on. Sounding good. And we got streams for all of the radio stations, and especially this one here, multiple streams online, thepoint.gu on the World Wide Web. You should be able to catch the stream that we're sending, whether we're on or not there. Again, technical difficulties somewhere in the audio chain are preventing our programming from getting to the transmitter site up at Mount Eludum. Mount Eludum is on. I can hear the carrier, so that means the transmitter's on, the generator is running, or we've got otherwise GPA power up there, knock on wood. So it's just a question of seeing when we might be able to get a break from all of this and sort out a trip to the tower and see what's going on. Always fun. Thank God I got a Frontier. Weather alert from the National Weather Service. Eye passage imminent over Rota. Potentially catastrophic winds moving on shore to Rota. He's attached to PDF. Does mean no good at this point regarding the wind conditions that they are seeing up there. Super Typhoon Bobby. 528 Monday, located 14-0 north, 145-9 east. Max winds 180 miles an hour, moving west-northwest, 12 miles an hour, 85 miles to the east-northeast of Guam, only 45 miles east-southeast of Rota, 70 miles south-southeast of Tinian, and 80 miles south of Saipan. There was a rather grave statement that they had put together. National Weather Service Intermediate Advisory 19A stated that this catastrophic Category 5 super typhoon was moving west-northwest at 12 miles an hour, about 45 miles east-southeast of Rota. Since then, the eye has entered and is now pushing west-northwestward through the eastern coastal waters of Rota. Extreme weather with torrential rains and potentially catastrophic winds of more than 150 miles an hour are expected, with the impending eye wall as it soon heads onshore of Rota. If it is not already doing so, eye passage is likely over most of Rota. A period of relative calm will settle in across the island during the passage of the eye. Do not venture out from safe shelter. This is good advice for everybody, but I just don't know if there's anybody on Rota that's watching and listening to the broadcast, if they have any infrastructure up at all at this time. As Super Typhoon Bavi proceeds over the island, the eastern side of the eye and the eye wall will soon bring a rapid escalation of winds to potentially catastrophic levels. Being outdoors during this rapid spin-up could be life-threatening, so stay in a safe shelter. Interior rooms is what they're talking about. And I think when they say interior room, I think they mean bathroom. Usually there's 4 solid walls around a bathroom and cast iron tub or concrete tub, and you hunker down in there with the family, as the man says. It'll be a long time. Elsewhere across the Mariana, peak wind and weather conditions are ongoing across Guam, Tinian, and Saipan. Rain bands continue to move across Tinian and Saipan with much heavier bands of rain, bringing torrential rains across Guam. Peak wind conditions are ongoing now through late this morning for Guam, Tinian, and Saipan, with severe tropical storm force to Category 1 typhoon force winds to slowly subside this afternoon and in the evening. An extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation venturing outside can result in death from flying projectiles. Okay, that was a message for Rhoda. Unreinforced structures will be heavily damaged, if not destroyed completely. Move immediately into an interior room in your shelter and avoid windward windows, even those that are shuttered, as flying debris can puncture and pass through the shutters. So about the only other thing that I'm going to ask of you right about now, as we make our way into the Fox newscast coming up in just 90 seconds or so, is if you left the window somewhere open just a crack and you have a little bit of sunlight in the area and you might think, hey, I've got an interesting view from here. Do me a favor and grab a shot if you don't mind. Pictures coming in from the eastern side of the island here. It's a little bit brighter, and you can make out some of the scenery over at Jeff's Pirates Cove. If you know where that sign is, you know just how bad the waves are behind that sign right now over at Jeff's place. Normally over where those trees are, there's usually a whole lot more green in that spot. I've eaten many cheeseburgers and chicken fries in that spot, and it looks like it is underwater at this time, inundated, if you will. But as I said, if you've got some interesting pictures that you've taken, maybe even some video, by all means, send those in. Somebody sent me a shot from earlier this morning. This might just be just before sunrise this morning, and not too much that you can make out. You can see the light from the rain crossing the window and the field, and the heavy winds blowing the trees around in the background, because it is that kind of morning. Document as much as you possibly can. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be somebody down the road that says, "Send me what you got." It'll make an interesting special one of these days. I'm not sure about after school special. But there's a lot that's happening, and there are going to be a whole lot of people that will try to memorialize this. It's also a good idea for those of you, if you didn't already, maybe grab a picture of what things look like with your vehicles and with your house. Hopefully you did that before things got started, and that way, if you need to make a claim to somebody, then by all means. What's that? Chris Jones sent me. He says, "Hey, latest radar image. There's a video of it, and noting that." The leading edge of the storm is making its way towards Rhoda. It seems to me that before long, I don't want to say that the storm will be over for Rhoda. Yeah, if you're looking at the Zoom Earth right now, I'll put it up on the screen. You can see the leading edge of that band now is just about to start touching where Rhoda is. And so maybe in another hour, yeah, I'm thinking another hour, they will be inside the eye wall, or at least portions of Rhoda will be on the inside of the eye wall. Just after 7 o'clock in the morning. Can't believe I forgot. We'll jump into Fox News in Progress, see what they're talking about.
Surveillance video shows an 18-year-old gunman loading the handgun before taking off and spotting an unmarked police car, firing and starting a shootout with officers, during which Detective Robert Carroll was shot in the back. He is expected to recover. The teenager is under arrest. President Trump is set to attend the NATO summit in Turkey this week, as he continues to criticize the alliance for not helping the U.S. secure the Strait of Hormuz. But British ambassador to the U.S., Christian Turner, tells Fox News.
Over 4,000 American sorties flown from European bases in support of Operation Epic Fury. On the second night of the conflict, my country agreed for the use of its bases for overflights and for bombing runs.
America's listening to Fox News.
You never never know who might be taking the quiz.
Hi, I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist.
Hey everyone, it's Phil Sims.
Hey everyone, it's Danica McKellar. It's Candace Bushnell.
I'm Jeremiah Brown.
Hey everyone, I'm Kix Brooks.
I'm John Taffer.
I'm Jennifer Aiden.
Everybody's Kevin Nealon.
It's Mr. Wonderful here, and it's time to take the quiz.
5 questions in less than 5 minutes every day. Listen and follow at thequiz.fox.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands are bracing for a violent hit from Super Typhoon Bavi. That storm, with winds of nearly 175 miles an hour, which would be a Category 5 here, is closing in on those U.S. Pacific territories. Forecasters warn of catastrophic wind damage, potentially deadly storm surge, and battering surf along the exposed coastlines. Residents have been boarding up homes and businesses as conditions rapidly worsen. The islands are home to about 200,000 people and several U.S. Navy and military bases, which have about 6,000 U.S. service members stationed there. Flights have been canceled because of the storm. NASA launches a $30 million operation to try and save the Swift Observatory telescope from falling too low into Earth's atmosphere and burning up. NASA Administrator Jarek Isaacman tells CBS's Face the Nation the mission is actually an experiment.
I wouldn't have expected it to come out of the gate and be perfect, but we'll learn more in the days ahead. And if it works, this gives us options for Hubble and other scientific instruments.
NASA wants to help the telescope save it so it continue to record explosions in space. After years of bidding wars and soaring prices, home buyers may finally be seeing the market tilt a bit in their favor.
New data from Realtor.com shows the national median list price fell 2.5% in June compared to a year ago. The steepest annual asking price decline since 2017 and the 8th straight month of price drops. Economists say more sellers are pricing homes realistically from the start instead of listing high and cutting later. Combined with slightly lower mortgage rates, the monthly payment on a typical home is about $132 less than it was a year ago. Pending home sales also climbed nearly 4%, a sign buyers are beginning to return to the market. CJ Papa, Fox News.
And I'm Carmen Roberts, and this is Fox News.
Trump's America.
One of the first visitors to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library was President Trump.
He was a great man, and it's a great place.
President Trump traveled to Medora, North Dakota a few days before the museum's public opening to honor a president he says embodies the American spirit.
His chest swelled with American optimism, confidence, enthusiasm, pride. His heart beat with an unyielding sense of America's destiny.
The trip was also President Trump's first aboard the new Air Force One, a $400 million Boeing 747, gifted to the U.S. by Qatar and retrofitted by the Pentagon.
Frankly, we couldn't build a plane like this because we wouldn't be willing to spend the kind of money necessary. They spent top dollars.
The aircraft is only temporarily serving as Air Force One until Boeing completes an order of a new presidential fleet expected in 2028. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Former FEMA director,
Talk show host Michael Brown.
Brownie.
Wait. Okay, that means it's my turn. Stand by. I gotta look with old man eyes for the themes. Like I said, these are Real Joe's buttons, not mine. Let's see, what do we got for you for news at 7 o'clock in the morning? Education officials are appealing a court order to pay nearly $300,000 in attorney's fees and costs following a lawsuit involving the Adequate Public Education Act. The suit, filed in 2023 by 2 students with disabilities, claimed health and safety violations, including mold issues, and the lack of certified teachers at 2 schools. Judge Elise Iriarte ruled in favor of the students, awarding over $292,000 in legal fees. Officials have appealed both the initial judgment and the fee award to the Supreme Court. The court recently denied a request to stay enforcement of that judgment. Meanwhile, AG Doug Moylan has officially warned local merchants, landlords, and fuel providers that price gouging is strictly prohibited as Guam remains in Core 1 for Super Typhoon Bavi. Under Guam law, wholesale prices and retail prices for essential goods, including gasoline and propane, were frozen upon the declaration of the condition of readiness. These prices must remain fixed until 72 hours after Guam returns to Core 4. Violators face severe penalties, including heavy fines and court injunctions. Residents are urged to track price changes and report any suspected price gouging or fixing immediately at the Attorney General's office website, guamattorneygeneral.org. GPA will begin island-wide power assessments and repairs as soon as high winds from Super Typhoon Bavi subside to safe levels. GPA has established a clear restoration priority, focusing first on hospitals, critical health care centers, water wells, and wastewater facilities. Once these essential services are operational, crews will move to restore main circuits and residential neighborhoods. Customers should report downed live power lines or broken poles immediately to the 24-hour trouble dispatch. That number is 475-1472. For non-emergency issues or restoration inquiries, customers may contact the 24/7 call center. That number is 647-5787. And GovGuam has introduced 8 new plug-in hybrid vehicles for use by frontline public agencies. The 2026 Hyundai Tucsons were provided to departments including Public Health, Public Works, DYA at no cost to the local government. Thanks to federal funding from the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act, while private electric vehicles and their incentives have expired, this government program aims to model cleaner technology for future fleet replacements. The Guam Energy Office will monitor fuel savings and utility costs to evaluate the program's long-term effectiveness. Do we need to do weather? Just listen to the shutters. That give you an idea of what's happening with the weather out of the doors here. I can hear. In fact, I'm not sure, but you might even be able to hear it in the background with my voice. But I can hear the rain still hitting the glass blocks in this studio. Normally, that blocks out all of the sound from the outside, except the sound, obviously, that's going to hit it with the hard rain that is falling right now. We are still in condition of readiness 1. We are definitely in line to receive tropical storm strength winds here as the Bavi begins to make its way closest point of approach to the Mariana Islands, and as I said, maybe an hour away from landfall over the island of Rota at this time. Sorry, I'm thinking and working working buttons at the same time. And I'm not good at it. So anyway, we got the storm that is moving towards Rota right now, and obviously it's going to bring a world of hurt on them. 180 miles an hour for that particular typhoon, and now the outside heavier part of the band is now hitting the eastern part of Rota, and before too much longer they're going to get an eye wall pass, and that's where the most significant part of the wind is going to end up, the most destructive part of the storm. And as Brandon and I was saying in the last hour, it doesn't get much stronger than this. Nature just doesn't make them any much stronger than the storm that we're seeing right now. We are in the outer bands right now. If you are in the northern part of the island, no doubt you are feeling some of that. Central portions of the island are going to be feeling it as well. I like this feature of Zoom Earth where you can put your mouse over something. It'll give you an idea of what they're talking about over here. Heavy rains are falling right now. Heavy rains falling north and south and central on Guam. As I said, maybe a little bit of a lull in terms of rain up in Saipan and Tinian, but no doubt they are feeling some heavy winds up there as well. It's going to be like this for the remainder of the day, even after we make it through to the 9 o'clock hour and the heaviest part of the storm has passed us. It ain't really the heaviest part. There's always an angry backside, and it looks like the southeastern quadrant, as usual, is going to be a tough one as the storm makes the bye-bye from here. So even though the sun comes up and even though you might feel like things are slowing down a little bit, it's still going to be too dangerous to go outside. Ask me, I'm the guy that goes outside because I got 4x Frontier, number one, and number two. Wait, I'm not going to say I'm not afraid of the women in my life. They were all mad at me the last time I did that in the Sinlaku time. At any rate, so I'd encourage you, unless you've got a specific emergency to attend to just hunker down a little bit longer. Wait until it starts getting a lot calmer on the outside, and we'll all be through this before too much longer. I think it's going to be very late in the day today before we get to that point, and then even tomorrow we're still talking about winds in the 30s and 40s. Let's see if I can look up and see if I can find some other information for you that I might be able to pass along. We're going to be doing this in and out thing on the program, so I'm going to leave the stream on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll, like I said, going to be bouncing back and forth between the national programming and our local programming. So it might not be the most exciting thing in the world, but just trust that Real Joe is going to be out there. We're going to see if we can get some other movers and shakers and headline makers, people that have made it through the storm themselves, and now looking for opportunities to be able to direct some recovery here on Guam, in between the here and the there. More of the Ray Gibson Show. After we check it, I think we're back to Michael Brown, yeah.
If you will. They didn't say, quote, we have research samples, and I think we filed the wrong form. They said that the case held, and again I quote, diagnostics and testing equipment, close quote. That cannot be an oversight. That's not forgetting about checking a form on a declarations card when you come in from a foreign country. That is looking a federal customs officer in the eye and telling him something false about what you're carrying across the border. And the second charge in the federal criminal complaint isn't smuggling, it's making false statements to federal officers. You know, they always say, and I think there's truth to this, the cover-up is its own crime. And I think that's what we have here. And think about why the rules exist. Federal law restricts the import and the transport of certain select agencies, and monkeypox is one of them, precisely because we, the public, the taxpayers, we're the ones that fund and finance Rocky Mountain Laboratories. We're entitled to know what dangerous material is moving in and out of this country and under what controls those materials and those pathogens are moving in and out of the country. The permit isn't a bureaucratic theater. It's a chain of custody. And what do I mean by chain of custody? Where did the material originate? Who handled the material? Who handed the material off to the next person? Where was the material going? You know, the chain of custody that you might have in a criminal case where you've got some sort of blood samples or something. That's the kind of chain of custody that I'm talking about. This case gets stranger and stranger. It's the Weekend with Michael Brown. Text lines open 33103. Keyword Michael. I'll be right back.
What if your instincts could pay off? With Robinhood Prediction Markets, you can put your sports IQ to work on the games you know best. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. Buy or sell your predictions all game long. Trade every play with Robinhood. Visit Robinhood.com/predict. That's Robinhood.com/predict. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
What's going on, everyone? This is Brent from the band Shinedown. Shinedown Nation, listen up. We are honored to be supporting City of Hope on our upcoming Dance Kid Dance Act 2 tour by donating $1 from every ticket to the organization. City of Hope is one of the top cancer research and treatment organizations in the country, and all of us in Shinedown, we cannot think of a better cause to bring attention to. So go to shinedown.com right now and help support City of Hope.
Think you could avoid being drawn into a cult? The answer might surprise you. Every week on the new documentary-style podcast, Was I in a Cult? You'll hear fascinating real-life stories from cult survivors who got in and, most importantly, got back out again.
Why are we all so obsessed with cults?
Well, because it could happen to anyone.
Perhaps you too will be asking yourself, wait, was I in a cult?
Listen to Was I in a Cult wherever you get your podcasts.
On the podcast Lady of the Road, join comedian Arden Marine and Emmy-nominated director Julianne Robinson for inspiring conversations with influential women about self-help and life.
We're talking about health. We've been talking about money. We've been talking about standing up for yourself, like things that I don't talk about that much. So this has been really wonderful for me.
Each week, Arden and Julie speak with motivating, uplifting women who do things their way.
Let's just say I don't have any resentment now, but there was one year where I sent $9,000 in coins and a check for 30 cents.
Hear real-life lessons from risk takers like Joan Jett, Nicole Byer, Lauren Lapkus, and more.
But if I'm Christine Baranski, I will ask how much number one is making. If there's such a huge difference, I will probably pass on it. Wow. I passed on something.
Respect that. Listen to Lady of the Road wherever you get your podcasts.
Take a trip back to Apartment 4D, home to the crew of the sitcom New Girl for 7 incredible seasons. On the Welcome to Our Show podcast, join real-life friends Zooey Deschanel, Hannah Simone, and Lamorne Morris as they rewatch their Emmy-nominated series.
We could do a whole episode dedicated to Jake Johnson and his lack of awareness around certain technological things, especially with his phone.
Listen to Welcome to Our Show wherever you get your podcasts.
What if one day you woke up to the news that everything you knew about your best friend was totally wrong?
My best friend is an Irish heiress, but it turns out Mayor Smith is not who she appears to be.
Like, really wrong. Awfully, catastrophically, and terribly wrong.
My best friend is an international con artist who scams me and many others out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And police are hunting for her from Los Angeles to Belfast.
On the podcast Queen of the Con, Jonathan Walton tells the story of the many shocking crimes of a phony Irish heiress and his journey to help finally bring her to justice.
She seemed so nice when we first met, so kind, so sweet, but she's the devil. I know that now. I regret ever meeting her. We all do.
Listen to Queen of the Con wherever you get your podcasts.
Champion sound, yeah, Estelle, we about to get down. Who the hottest in the world right now? Just touched down in London town. Bet they give me a pound. Tell them put the money in my hand right now. Got a promoter, we need more seats. We just sold out all the floor seats. Take me on a trip, I'd like to go someday.
Hey, welcome back to The Weekend with Michael Brown. Glad to have you with me. I appreciate you tuning in. You know, if you like what we do on the weekend, I think you might like the weekday program, and it's really easy to listen to what I do Monday through Friday. If you listen to me or stream the program through the iHeart app, all you have to do is search for a station with the call letters KOA. KOA. You find that radio station in Denver. It's at 8:50 a.m., 94.1 FM, and you hit that as a preset. And then Monday through Friday from 9 to noon, you can stream me live out of Denver, Colorado. So go on your iHeart app and set that preset now. I certainly would appreciate it. And that way you get to listen to what I talk about during the weekday also. Back to this story about these pathogens being sneaked into the country.
Nah, it's okay. Decided I was going to come back in and see if I could amaze you with some other information that I'm getting my hands on here. With regard to Super Typhoon Bobby, right now as you're watching it, the eye make its approach to Rhoda. And the outer part of the eye now a little bit more than touching that. It has begun, the nightmare has begun for our friends and neighbors and family up in that part of the CNMI. Fingers crossed that everybody is able and capable of surviving that particular incident. 888-8255, 888-TALK is the telephone number. If I did things right, I might be able to get somebody on the radio. Hi, my name's Ray. Who are you?
Hey, Ray, this is Frank Bloss. I was told to call.
Hey, it's my classmate, Frank Bloss Jr., dispensing with any conversation about politics and things like that, because I'm sure that you're missing seeing your friend Tony Atta at a wave this morning.
Right.
At any rate, I recalled that right after Sinlaku, I mean, it was literally hours after it was very clear the nature of the damage that had fallen on Tinian and Saipan, you and Carlotta Leon Guerrero and a number of other people immediately began the organization process. And I'm kind of curious, as we're watching the storm now making its closest point of approach to Rhoda, actually at this time, as my words are hitting your ears, have you already reached out to the usual suspects to begin calling out opportunities for volunteers to fill containers to send up to Rhoda?
Yeah, we've already talked to Maria from the Marianas Climate Change Alliance. Actually, we've already started to distribute. 2 days ago, we provided pallets of water to the Guam Department of Education for the shelters. And up in Saipan, we started to help families who needed a little extra push more with regard to some water and some tarps. We started to do that already, and we've got the point of contacts, making sure the numbers are correct, and who to contact in certain areas, so that when things settle down on either side, because we can anticipate there's going to be some help that's going to be needed here on Guam as well. And so we just need to make sure that we have the numbers, so that when things settle down, we give people a call and we start to activate.
Yeah. Well, and that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you caught the conversation with not Landon Idlet, but Logan from the Joint Information Center. At least two of the schools were either at capacity or very close to it. I think one of them was 100%, and then the other one, I don't recall which ones they were, but already 85% as of last night. No doubt with the heavier winds and rains, people probably braved the elements to go and find those shelters and get themselves into them. So clearly there's going to be some local need. We also got word from the Joint Typhoon, not JTWC, but the JIC, Homeland Security, and Congressman Jimmy Craig Moylan's office, that the president has signed one of the emergency declarations, which should help us out fairly quickly. And I assume the same thing is true when we start talking about the devastation 180-mile-an-hour winds are going to do to some place like Rhoda.
Yeah. You can only pray and hope that everybody, comes out of this safe. We know there's going to be damages. We know that there's going to be, some basically property devastation. We just hope and pray that there is no lives lost or anybody hurt. That's the first thing.
Absolutely.
And then we start to assess as to, okay, what do you need and how do we get it to you? One of our challenges with Rhoda has always been, how do we get it to you? Because it's difficult. The ports are still damaged from Sinlaku, from previous storms. And so it's very difficult for boats to get in and out. And then immediately after this storm, you still got the paddle constraints, with regards to the weather. So we can't immediately launch boats or ask people to launch boats for us to get up there. Even the Coast Guard has got to wait, and even them, they're very cautious. So just give us some time to let's see how the waterways are, so that your boats can safely come in and out of the docks, out of the harbors.
We did lose some folks in Sinlaku out of the CNMI, and I think that there's still a number of families that are devastated with that kind of loss. So yeah, I suppose that is a consideration. Not being in the shipping business myself, but delighted in the Sinlaku restoration that they were able to take advantage of kind of homegrown clients around here, like American President Lines, who were among the first to be able to make some of the deliveries up to Sugar Dock up in Saipan. But certainly shouldn't stop people from starting to think about different ways that they might be able to help the recovery, either here on Guam or in the CNMI, Rhoda in particular. There's a lot of people that did some extra stocking up on all kinds of tools and technologies. I don't know that there's one Ryobi fan left over at Home Depot. It's kind of a punchline anymore in this particular deal. I saw people that were walking out, driving carts out of Home Depot with with more than one or two generators. If you already got two, then there might be one that you can send up to family and friends. I'm sure there's somebody last name Manglotnia or something like that up in Rhoda that might appreciate being able to keep things cool in the refrigerator.
That's right. That's right. And, again, just continue to pray that no lives are lost. Because food and water, housing, homes, that's replaceable. It's a life loss that we've just got to make sure that we hope that doesn't happen.
I got you. I was so tempted. I saw the paperwork coming out of the chamber, and the responses from some of the people that listen to the Republican debate over there. But I'm going to reserve that for another day when we're not talking about weather. What was your experience in Darrowville last night with the storm? I mean, it was actually kind of a nice day for most of Sunday, and then all of a sudden things went to hell pretty rapidly. What was your experience in the preparation for the storm and the onset of the damaging winds?
Well, it's interesting, and compared to the last storms where there was a rush to be able to do this, we had to look the convenience of first off a few days to be able to take care of this, and it was just surreal because a lot of people says, "What kind of a storm is this?" Everything's calm, nice and calm right now. I said, "No, don't let that fool you. That this storm is sucking everything up." And sure enough, last night, right around 8:30, 9 o'clock, it just all of a sudden it started to get gloomy, and so quite honestly, after about 9 o'clock, I haven't seen outside yet because we're hunkered.
Yeah. The only reason I know what's going on outside is because I've got a glass block in the studio, so I can, and they're not privacy glass blocks. It's made this so that you can look out. It's almost like looking out at a pane of glass. And right now it is distorted because the rain is hitting it so hard. But it's nice to see that we have apparently made it to a sunshiny place for today. And any other legislative work that you think that you're going to need to do? I think the governor was happy over the weekend and happy to sign off on some legislation that went from the legislature to the governor's office, authorizing and approving some, $25 million worth of spend for some of the things that we need?
No, actually, it was the left remainder of what was initially appropriated.
So this was not new.
No, this was actually after Sinaloa. There was about $8 million that was left, and so it was that money that we used as the appropriation for this round. It was $250,000 per mayor and villages, and $250,000 per shelter. To get them ready. Okay. We were glad that we have that money. That money was available. Let's face it. I mean, this was probably the only time that we've been able to do this. But then this money was supposed to have gone into the rainy day fund. And
raining.
Monies. Well, yeah. I mean, anything remaining in us. It goes back into the fund, but this is what it was made for. This is what it was made for, so that we can get those resources out prior to the storm. This is all preparatory for storm. This gives the mayors an opportunity to start to get their contracts in place and start to move the brush and prepare those areas where they know they're going to be it's going to be prone to flooding and whatnot. So
they'll get around to being able to see that and do that, but it's going to be hours and hours away. As we're closing in on 7:31 in the morning, and obviously we've got an iPass situation up in Rhoda occurring as we speak. But that is just the middle of all of this. We still got the rest of the back end of the storm that we've got to make our way through from. And just one last question, and it is storm related. How's your little chocolate dog doing?
He's laying right here next to me.
Probably hasn't left your side all night.
Yeah. He's not moving.
You're a good boy. All right. Hugging a kiss to Tilly. I'll see you on the other side of this, and then we can engage in some interesting political conversation about, in my mind, a couple of the more interesting stories is the budget. How was that received by the body? I suppose we'll find out soon. Has there been communication from the governor's office, one way or the other, on her preferences with regard to the budget that your colleague Chris Duenas has been working on for all of this time? I'm wondering if we're going to have much of a firefight on the budget. But again, save that conversation for a little bit later.
Take care and stay safe, Ray.
Hey, I will.
Ray.
I'll talk to you guys pretty soon. You guys stay safe as well.
Hey, Ray, can I also say, Ray?
Sure.
The state services, memorial services for the late police chief, Steve Ignacio, has been moved to a Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. And then immediately after, prior to his funeral services at the Basilica. So it was scheduled for tomorrow, but it is now moved to Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. And then our budget session will reconvene on Thursday morning at 9 a.m.
Isn't that my recollection is that's the way we used to do it anyway. There's state funeral at the legislature, Congress House, and then we wheel the casket over to the Cathedral Basilica for the services there.
Yeah, but obviously,
I don't think they did that with your old man. I know they did that with Malcolm Jim and Daddy. All right. Anyway, neither here nor there. Darryl, I'll talk to you pretty soon. Stay safe and pray for Rhoda.
Thanks a lot. You too. Take care, buddy.
I will. 888-825-5880-TALK. 7:30 news now. New murder charges filed. Donovan Cariaga facing a new charge of complicity to commit murder in the 2017 killing of Adin Messier. The superseding indictment claims Cariaga aided 3 others in the crime. He previously faced a direct murder charge. He pled not guilty July 1st and requested a speedy trial. Co-defendant Curtis Blas is currently serving a 10-year sentence on related charges. Meanwhile, the 82nd annual Menengan Memorial Commemoration is postponed indefinitely due to Super Typhoon Bobby. The event was originally scheduled for yesterday. Foundation leaders prioritize community safety, noting that all logistical plans are currently on hold. No new date is confirmed. Residents should monitor the Foundation's official social media pages for updates once the storm has passed and planning can safely resume. And all residential trash collection and GSWA facility operations are suspended because of Super Typhoon Bobby. This includes all transfer stations and the Luzon landfill. Services will resume once the island returns to Core 4. Please ensure all trash and recycle bins have been secured to prevent them from becoming flying debris during the high winds. Maybe now I see that. Now I'm thinking maybe I didn't get to all of the prep work that I was supposed to do. I brought it in from the street, and that might be as good as I got. One or two of the other things. Stand by. I just got to. Oh, good. We'll hear from Saipan. And among our favorites, we'll be switching out our programming too because we couldn't. We'd normally be doing something else here this morning, but we are going to be switching out of regular programming here and replaying, in case you missed it, on the 4th of July and Independence Day, the 250 most impactful moments in American history and the Great American Experiment. That will be 8 and 9 a.m. programming. If I'm unable to continue with the no traffic and weather, I do have some weather stuff that I can pass along to you. Stand by. Let me just call this thing up. There it is, because I thought it was super, super interesting. All right, so 79 degrees outside right now. And the wind speed, currently out of the west, 52 miles an hour. That's pretty big wind speed for just a kind of Monday on Guam. And as far as gusts are concerned, I don't know where this came from, but they have recorded a gust at the National Weather Service of 89 miles an hour. That's that much far away from 90, and 90 ain't that far away from 100. And that's why I'm telling you, everybody going to stay inside. I'm just going to do the regular weather forecast now. Severe tropical storm to typhoon force conditions are expected today. North to northwest winds, 60 to 80 miles an hour, gusting to 100 miles an hour, decreasing 40 to 60 miles an hour late in the afternoon. It's going to be cloudy. We will have periods of rain, widespread heavy showers, and scattered thunderstorms. Highs near 83 degrees, and the chances of showers today is 100%. I don't know why they had to put that in there, but I'm sort of glad they did. Tonight, tropical storm conditions expected. South winds 40 to 50 miles an hour, gusting to 70. Cloudy, periods of rain, widespread heavy showers this evening, then numerous showers after midnight. Scattered thunderstorms, overnight lows of about 75 degrees. Tomorrow, very windy, south winds 25 to 35 miles an hour. You might see some gusts around 50 miles an hour, but hey, that's what we got steady winds at 50-plus miles an hour today. We're surviving that. We'll be okay if they gust a little bit more. Cloudy, numerous locally heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms are in the forecast for tomorrow. Where do we go back to partly sunny skies? Friday. Thursday weather, breezy, mostly cloudy, though, with a 40% chance of showers and slight chance of thunderstorms. Highs in the mid to upper 80s and lows in the upper 70s. Thursday night, mostly cloudy, 40% chance of showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms. And as I said, getting into the weekend, partly sunny skies, 30% chance of showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms. Partly sunny again on Sunday for those of you that are going to have to use some time to be able to sort out what you've got to do to recover. And I think the crazy thing is there's a lot of people that are deciding, okay, I want to recover like right now. You can't do that. Wait until things calm down a whole lot more. It's still blowing hard, and as I mentioned, we've still got some significant gusts out there that we got to worry about. That's gusts, G-U-S-T, and not gusts, G-U-S. 888-255-888-TALK. Possibility that we'll be occupying a line here in just a second. Brad Rizala is expected to call. I'm not sure if he's doing a live right now, but he's been in and out over the course of the last several days. You know, family's out of town, right? So he can do that all he wants. So family's out of town, so he's been spending a lot of time on the onlines trying to keep people posted and up to speed on what's going on. As I mentioned, if you can, go outside and see if you've got access to be able to see what's going on, so you can grab some video. This might have been right after sunrise. It might be 5 minutes ago. It's hard to tell. That looks like the parking lot. I think I know where that parking lot is. That's over by Jimmy D's. Chamarita Lounge. Oh, no, not Jimmy D's Chamarita Lounge and Discotheque. That is over at the Chowder House. That's what I used to call it when it was brand new. I think they changed the name. But it's the old Tokyo Hotel, I think. No. Somebody will remind me what the old hotel was. Oh, why can't I remember? I'm having one of those senior moments. At any rate, that's what the parking lot is supposed to be looking like. You know what's going to be interesting? Is there anybody awake over at Lupang Cove? There was a once upon a time over at Lupang Cove where we would get a similar shot as this one, maybe shot from, I don't know, the 7th or 8th floor, something like that. We'd get a shot of this, but the cars would look like the inside of one of those Hot Wheels boxes where they're just all over the place, tumbling all over each other. There's something like a Venturi effect that they have in that area that causes the wind to come through strong enough so that it moves the cars around. If you're a little kid wondering what the science is behind that, just put your finger over the end of the hose and notice how much stronger the water comes out. It's exactly the same physics, and that's why when it starts to go between a couple of buildings that are too close together, it squeezes up that air. It's already moving pretty fast, and then it squeezes it up so it comes out even faster. Guess they don't have that problem down in the Tumon area. Any other shots? I think I think Stash sent me one. So stand by. Let me see if I can find out what things are looking like over in the balcony over at the Stash place. Just a little bit more. You can see the obviously overcast skies in that area, and the clouds are moving, and the trees are blowing, and the wind may be coming down in what feels like sheets, and it's going to be like that for the next little bit until we get out of this, until we get past this. What's the this I'm talking about? This is the this I'm talking about. This is the satellite imagery on Zoom Earth. Life changer. I can't stop raving about this. I was talking to somebody that was raving about Windy, and we had to have a little bit of a conversation about why I like this much better. Windy uses some tracking information and models. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not, and I like the functions that are packed in with Zoom Earth. They take a new satellite image every 10 minutes. you can overlay the tracking information. This tracking information comes from Joint Typhoon Warning Center, so you don't have to do any kind of translation on it. There's all kinds of features. One I just discovered where if you put the mouse over a feature, it will tell you what's going on. Wow, heavy rain on Guam. Who'd have thought? Other parts are seeing moderate rain on Guam. And then the other feature that I kind of like is you can put the mouse over the actual storm, and it will give you current information on it. As an example, as of 4 o'clock, super typhoon, what's that wind speed? 180 miles an hour on that. And it will give you a little bit more by way of a synopsis on the side, looped from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. So if you want to get an education, this is a great way to do it. It ain't going to make you an Idler twin. It ain't going to make you one of the typhoon twins, but it will get you a whole lot closer. 888-8255, 888-TALK. The meme machine clearly is online, so if there's something that you want to send up, by all means, go for it. Love to see the pictures, love to see the videos. If you got funny stuff, that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with it. I posted a funny thing just a little bit ago because it was funny. It's the Ryobi Army trying to blow away Typhoon Bavi. And like I said, it is something like a cliche around here because it got to be Friday morning at 6 o'clock. And there were already people that were posting images of the line to go inside Home Depot. It was stretched out. You'd think they were selling Christmas trees or something. It was a stretch all the way outside. And clearly they had some kind of a system to let people in, but I was just kind of gobsmacked. And then there were images of people on the inside, and there was a run on these fans. Well, all right. I don't know about fans. One of the things that I noticed that there was a little bit of run on at the Village store in my neighborhood was not toilet paper, it's bread. Bread. I had bread already. I wanted to get a new loaf of bread, and I went inside the store and I said, "Do you have bread?" And the lady says, "No, that's been gone for 2 days already." I said, "You have the next best thing," and she says, "What's that?" And I said, "Beer. Do you have beer?" The answer to that one was yes. My other savior here this morning is Mr. Brown Coffee. This is not a plug. This is not an ad. I'm just saying I knew I wasn't going to be able to make coffee at my house because I slept the night here at the radio station. So I made sure that I've got my hands on some coffee. I don't got to do a shout-out. Let me do a shout-out to my buddy John Ananich. And John saw me do a blurb last night in the program. It's still fairly early. And he says, "I'm on my way." I'm like, what do you mean you're on your way? So the guy shows up, and it was already starting to get dark by the time he got here. And he's got one of these big Payless bags, and on the inside of it is a Tupperware of rice, is a Tupperware of brown finadeni, is a Tupperware full of what was it, Kadun Pika. And he was apologizing. He says, "Look, I'm on a diet, and I'm giving you food, so that means you're on a diet as well. It's boneless and skinless." I didn't want to get into the conversation about why you should go ahead and put the bones and the skin. It's actually probably healthier for you. You're not doing yourself any favors by eliminating that from your diet. And like I said, I think it's better for you, so go ahead and do that. But what a nice touch. What a nice touch. That is in addition to what I brought with me. Daughter Mayumi gave me, and I don't know who she got it from, but we both got a thing for tinatla chutney, and she gave me a bag of frozen tinatla chutney. I stuck a whole bunch of them in the air fryer yesterday, and got that ready to eat. Mixed that up with some of John Ananich's rice, and I was right as rain for dinner. Now, there's going to be lunch mint a little bit later on in the broadcast. Oh, thank you. I'm getting some more. More. I was hoping that we'd get Brad, but he's apparently having a problem getting through. Unsurprising, given the nature of telecom in the middle of super typhoons. So if we get him, we get him. If not, I'll see what I can do to keep the conversation going until about 8 o'clock this morning. Where was I? That's a good question. Where was I? Oh, yeah, tinatla chutney? No, I was already past that. The other items that I packed from home include Acai Super Dry. There's a couple of big waves in there. because you never know. I'm planning on being stranded here for a while, even after the broadcast, and I want to be able to entertain myself. So I've got a couple of those things that are in kind of a hot standby. Don't tell the other owners. But anyway, so that and KFC chicken pot pie. A chicken pot pie, and there might also be 3 hot dogs and some of Joanne's bread from up in Jigo. That's what I pulled in with me. What is all of this? I'm seeing this in a lot of places. Is this for real? Did somebody do this on Guam? If you're not watching the visual, you should, because I think that's the only way that you can see us now. Real Joe has got this picture, and it's a bunch of these pool spaghettis all wrapped up around a car to protect it from the ravages, if you will, of the typhoon. And then there's John Savares from on the inside, someplace where he is watching the storm pass him by. It's nice when you can do that. This one here comes from my buddy Jim. It's a few seconds worth of the Pia Resort overlooking San Vitores. Stand by. It's not a very long video, but give you an indication of what things are looking like outside of folks' balconies. Nice to be able to get that close to nature from the behind the glass, if you will. Hopefully you did not have too many of the dangers of the storm. 888-8255. What's that? Okay, so Tropicana is the name of the place I was thinking. Thank you. Now Guam Beachfront, residence right beside Crown Plaza Hotel, and that would put it right next to the Matapang Beach, which Chief Joey Sinicolas is excited about turning into a launch site for the guys over at the fire department. All right, now talking and doing things again at the same time, looking for my video. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for the commentaries from the folks that are watching on the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live. Got plenty on the YouTube side. Haven't had a chance to check in with the troublemakers on YouTube, led by Stephen Klein. Says good morning and stay safe. There's Louisa Greeno saying good morning. Jeremy Nauta, Renee Lau saying good morning and be safe. Guam Brian Areola, what's up, B? Says goods and half a day. Ukla 87 saying good morning. Nice to see Steve Tommy Napati online. Tropic Tom says good morning everyone and stay safe. Says lost power at my place near American Medical at about 2:30 this morning. Power lasted longer than I expected. Mark Cruz chiming in says finally lost GPA at 5:15. Ukla says, heard about 3 transformers pop about 10 p.m. last night. You know, it might not be popping. I got to, if we get Simon anytime soon, I'm going to ask him, because I don't think that the transformers are popping as much as it's the fuses that are popping, and they sound kind of similar. Lee Weber online says, good job for the live feed, holding strong here at Windward. Tropic Tom, as unpleasant as these things are, they're not as deadly as living in Tornado Alley, and we don't get wickedly flooded like low-lying areas like Florida. Tropic Tom, I hear you, and I agree that tornadoes are scary. We had days in front of this. A point that Frank Bloss made in the conversation just a few minutes ago. We had days to be able to watch this storm form itself up and intensify. Finally, get on the move, and reach a status of the biggest storm on the planet. And if it didn't, then it should be. But we had all kinds of time to get ready. I mean, anybody that lost anything lost it to neglect and waiting for far too long. So, yeah, tornadoes, those things will pop up on you. Flooding like low-lying areas like Florida. And don't forget, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we had those issues that the flooding and the flash flood that took place. What was it, Texas? In some place that normally doesn't see that thing for like 200 or 300 years. Yeah, there's freak weather out there. And you make a good point. Coils says, good morning, Chairman Ray. Thanks very much. Lupang Guam 671 is online. There's the adult supervision. Tropic Tom also says, I think it's a little mean to show me pictures of Wendy's jalapeno breakfast biscuits, but Spam and eggs cooked on the gas burner ain't bad. Lupang also says, I had instant coffee for breakfast. There's Lieutenant Dan Ice Cream. Hearing 2,000 plus people died in Venezuela with the earthquakes. Things not so bad here, praise God. There's Catherine. Good morning. Thanks, Ray, for being on the YouTube, but I can't find the radio station. Stay safe, everybody. Sorry about that. Well, there's not much that I can do about it besides issue something like an apology, but it's clearly something that could not have been planned for. Otherwise, I would have had a contingency for it. Something that would normally be connecting our on-air programming from the console that I'm in front of right now and the transmitter site has failed. I'm not sure what it is. There's some moving parts between here and there. Systems on my side look good, but once we leave the building, it's a toss-up on what may or may not happen. Makes you wonder the quality of the concrete and rebar for high-rises to topple like that out in Venezuela. Clearly, that was it was obviously shoddy construction to begin with, and maybe somebody cutting a lot of corners. Be strong, Guam. Good morning from Roberto Fraccassini, one of the guys I call a legend. And that building, the GBR that I'm telling you about, he used to play in a band over in that place, as well as other spots in Tumon back in the heyday. Tropic Tom, like I said, online, Guam under the sea. There's a guy who's Korean, says, I hope everybody comes out of this safely. Thank you very much, Ryobi fans, LOL. Alupang Guam, Ray rocking his ultra-rare Datsun cap and Sony MDR pulling out all the stops today. Yeah, it's kind of a rarity that I use the Sony MDR, 7560s on the air. These don't see a whole lot of action. I like to keep them as fresh as possible. Tropic Tom, I'm sure the other Mariana Islands do not appreciate the efforts of our Ryobi fan army. More from him all over the place. Joe Cruz says he's the only ray of sunshine at the moment. There's Frenchie. Sakutasu. Never mind the biscucho and chorizos español. Give us Ryobi fan. That was one of my appetizers last night, and I posted it up on the thing. Because for two reasons. Number one, it's the easiest thing in the world to eat, requires no heat whatsoever, and it reminds me of my grandmother. Grandma would eat crab biscuits, ship biscuits, we called them, with potted meat food product. The less you know about it, the better. MP3 Saipan, heavy winds and rains in Capitol Hill area up in Saipan. Prayers to you guys. As far as I'm concerned, it's Un Marianas. Nobody wants to see anything bad to happen to anybody. You guys just had your iPass, and now it looks like Rhoda is getting its iPass. Are we next? 671 Dad. Tumon, Celu Crown Plaza. Nice to see Vince Duenas here hanging out. Oscar says, stay safe, Ray and Guam from the So's in Japan. Oh, it's good to see you guys. Missed you at the 76 Spirit of 76 run over the weekend. John Savars. The picture was at the Dededo Mayor's office. We're waiting for this to pass so we can hit the ground and recover the villages. Chris Tamars says, we just lost power at Jigo up in the Matagwak area. Those winds don't look like 80 miles an hour. Sound stronger, says Catherine. Yeah, it's parallax. You never know what it's going to be at that time. Might want to check on the YouTube side Facebook side before I get too lost in other mental conversations that I'm having with myself in my head. It missed out on regular show prep here this morning. I went through the weather forecast a little bit ago, but I wanted to go through the weather statement. And in fact, they are going to have, I think, another bulletin coming up in just a few minutes from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center via the National Weather Service. Super Typhoon Bavi, this is as of 5:30 this morning. Catastrophic Category 5 super typhoon moving through the area. Looking to see if there's anything in here that we haven't already gone over a dozen times. It starts talking about the typhoon force winds extending outward from the center up to 60 miles. Tropical storm force winds extend outward from the center up to 230 miles. We are, I think, in the fringe of that first 60-mile extension of typhoon force winds. We're seeing gusts for sure. I don't know if we're going to see any sustained typhoon force winds over the course of the morning. I've got my fingers crossed. Tropical storm force winds, we're definitely inside the window for that. 230 miles to the north, up to 185 miles to the south of the storm. As I said, another advisory in about 5 minutes from right now. I don't know if they're going to have that other advisory available for us, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we'll stand down and roll into the the Fox News at the top of the hour, and then after that, we'll take another look at local news because Donna gave it to me, so I think I'm going to use it. And then we'll see what else we can come up with. Hopefully, we'll sort out the technical connections that we've got to sort out between here and the NMI, and spend some time with Brad Rasala. He's been covering this. Any number, and I've got to say, it's not so much a curiosity, but it's interesting. Maybe it's the algorithm. Maybe the meta people just know. But are you not surprised, those of you that are watching on Facebook, at the number of outlets that are reporting about this super typhoon? I mean, obviously, it's a super typhoon. It's a story. And if you were in the weather game, it's a big story. It's as big as the word super typhoon. But between that Petta guy, what's his name, Stephen Petta? With his green screen, and Brad Rasala, and a little bit, I'm not going to take any credit for the work that I've been doing here, got Candid and KUAM TV, and there's any number of people. I mean, I'm getting blurbs from GVB and the Chamber of Commerce about this storm, things that you need to know. So it's kind of interesting to me to see how many people are getting out there and actually taking the information that they have, finding a way to get it out to the people in the land, and maybe just by way of letting everybody know, number one, that there's a storm in the area, and number two, this is some of the things that you need to be doing. What's that you're looking at? Somebody says, I'm getting this from my bro. He says, looks like Rhoda is pushing back on the storm. What's that, Dave? All right, let me get this up on the screen and see if my deal is telling me the same thing. Wouldn't that be something if there was something about the atmospherics at play here with the storm as it starts nuzzling up, as it starts moving the eye wall right up to the edge of the storm, and all of a sudden the island of Rhoda is pushing back on it. What was their chief? Who is their big chief in that place? 888-8255-888 TALK is the telephone number on screen right now. Zoom Earth, and the last minutes as we make our way to the closest point of approach. Now, I want to say that this is our closest point of approach to the storm as well, if that makes any kind of sense. I believe what I was looking at, the earlier estimates on this, there it is. It's just crossed over the eastern tip of Rhoda at this time. Okay, this is it. Heavy prayers now for the folks up in Rhoda. Hopefully they got word and have found the most isolated part of their homes that's going to protect them from the very, very damaging winds of 180 miles an hour as Super Typhoon Bavi is now making landfall in Rhoda. Only thing left from here is to watch painfully, excruciatingly slow how much of that eye is going to devour Rhoda. You will recall that during Sinlaku, it was all of Saipan and all of Tinian that was devoured by the eye wall there with Sinlaku. Hopefully that doesn't happen with Rhoda, but Rhoda is so small and that eye is so big. So as I said, as we get closer and closer to Fox News Live here, and we'll go ahead, as I said, and cover that in just a few moments. Continue your prayers for Rhoda and start thinking, as I said, if you've got some stuff in the house that you've bought too much of because we were told to prepare and you've over-prepared, then set that aside at some point today so that when Frank Blas Jr. and everybody starts coming out and saying now's a good time to start thinking about bringing it over to us so that we can make the donations and start providing instantaneous relief as soon as we can fly stuff out there, as soon as we can roll off things out there, as soon as we can send a barge up to Rhoda to provide the relief, then we can. Here's Fox News on The Point.
Revenge. I'm Deborah Valentine, Fox News. Hundreds of thousands of people gathering in Iran for the funeral of the late supreme leader killed by U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Tel Aviv, Israel.
In his address to the nation overnight, President Trump spoke about the U.S. military and the work of U.S. forces during Operation Epic Fury. The president's remarks come as indirect talks between the United States and Iran move forward. The ceasefire between the two countries does remain in place as regional leaders have expressed the importance of continuing the memorandum of understanding. Despite the diplomatic progress, the funeral for Iran's late supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, has been a large display of Iranian propaganda as delegations from around the world traveled to Tehran. The funeral will continue until July 9th, with millions of Iranians participating.
Several people attending the funeral called for President Trump's death as revenge for the killing of the supreme leader. Congress is on July 4th recess following a deadlock over legislative priorities. Tensions are running high as President Trump continues to demand that Congress pass the Save America Act containing voter regulations. Missouri Republican Representative Jason Smith on Fox's The Sunday Briefing. He thinks Congress should be focused in preventing another government shutdown.
We have only 20 legislative days between now and September 30th. We have to get the job done.
The Senate Republican leader has told President Trump on several occasions that the Senate does not have enough GOP votes to pass the Save America Act. Past studies have shown that voter fraud is extremely rare and that mail-in voting remains secure. FIFA has suspended a one-game ban for the top scorer on the men's U.S. soccer team, Folarin Balogun. He's eligible to play in Monday's matchup against Belgium. He received a controversial red card against Bosnia. America's listening to Fox News.
The Fox News Books podcast returns for a third season with all American patriotism. Hosted by Fox and Friends weekend co-host Rachel Campos Duffy. Celebrate 250 years of America's greatness through the stories of service, family, and pride that encapsulates the American dream. Join Rachel as she highlights traditional American values that have been at the core of this nation for 250 years and will continue for the next 250. Follow and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com.
America, raise a glass to our 250th birthday with the Fox News Wine Shop, featuring limited edition USA 250 wines. Plus, get 20% off your first purchase with code FNRadio20. And remember, wines are delivered straight to your door, so don't wait. Order now at foxnewswineshop.com and use code FNRadio20 to save. 20% discount excludes wine club offers and cannot be combined with any other promotion. Expires July 31st, 2026. Must be 21 or older to order. Please drink responsibly.
Officials say a masked man opened fire at a family barbecue near New York City's Coney Island Beach on the 4th of July. New York City Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch describes the victims.
In total, 8 people were shot, 4 adults and 4 children, ages 6, 7, 12, and 14.
New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani condemns the incident.
There is no place for this kind of violence in our city. We will not tolerate it, and we will fight it with every single tool at our disposal.
One of the victims is in critical condition. The motive is unclear, and the suspect remains at large. The husband of California Democratic Representative Nancy Pelosi is once again facing legal trouble. It follows a hit and run. Fox's Alicia Acuna reports from Los Angeles.
The crash happened in Yountville, California, which is not in former Speaker Nancy Pelosi's district. The Napa County Sheriff's Department says Friday afternoon, a witness called 911 to say they saw a brown convertible crash into a legally parked car, briefly stop, then take off. The California Highway Patrol caught up with the convertible. Authorities say Paul Pelosi was driving. It was heavily damaged and parked on the side of a road, blocking the roadway. In a statement, the sheriff said, quote, during the investigation, Pelosi admitted to hitting something, but said he didn't know what he had hit, so he kept driving. He drove until his car became disabled and was no longer able to continue driving.
Pelosi's husband, Paul, previously pleaded guilty in connection with a drunk driving accident. No one was injured in Friday's crash, and no charges have been announced. Chicago police are investigating holiday violence that left 3 dead and 20 wounded. Gunfire injured 7 teens at a West Garfield Park gathering Sunday. 2 officers were also hurt during a traffic stop on Friday. I'm Deborah Valentine. This is Fox News.
Fox on Games, your insider's cheat code to gaming.
To celebrate America 250, let's get into the spirit with some American-themed video games. Assassin's Creed 3 puts you right in the middle of the American Revolution, thrusting you into the hidden war for the soul of a newly born nation.
Return to your homes. We're not going anywhere.
If you prefer a darker vision of the Stars and Stripes, Fallout 3 takes you to a post-apocalyptic Washington, D.C. It's an over-the-top look at national pride, complete with a giant robot reminding us that
freedom is the sovereign right of every American.
Fallout 4 keeps that spirit alive, blending Revolution-era themes into a world 200 years after the bombs fell. While these games aren't historical textbooks, they're virtual tours through the spirit of our landmarks. Or you can take a trip to the floating city of Columbia in BioShock Infinite. It's a steampunk what-if story set in the aftermath of the Civil War, where political radicals collide in the clouds. Eamon Dignam, Fox News.
All right. Well, I think now would be a good time to talk about doing some news here. So, news theme. No, that's traffic. That's weather. There's news. Got it. I got it. A Guam woman and a South Korean man were sentenced to probation in federal court Wednesday for their roles in a sham marriage scheme. Chief Judge Francis Taninko Gatewood sentenced Jung Hoon Song to 1 year of probation and Bonnie Jo Kitsutu to 6 months of probation. Both defendants were also ordered to pay fines. Prosecutors stated the marriage, which began in 2011, was used to fraudulently obtain lawful permanent residence status for Song. He accepted responsibility for the fraud and now faces likely deportation to South Korea. Attorneys for both defendants argued they entered the marriage in good faith. Meanwhile, GWA is completing storm mitigation efforts as the island remains in Core 1 for Super Typhoon Bobby. All water and wastewater systems were operating normally at the beginning of the storm. They're urging residents to store at least 1 to 2 gallons of drinking water per person daily for sanitation and consumption, advising the public to prepare for potential precautionary boil water notices if the system loses pressure during the storm. Residents should conserve water, avoid non-essential uses, please. No water blasting the driveway for today. And if you've got any issues, 24-hour dispatch is available at 646-4211. In other news, the Guam Election Commission is preparing for the primary election early voting at the Westin Resort. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, though tomorrow's opening remains dependent on safety conditions as Super Typhoon Bobby passes. Executive Director Maria Pangilinan confirmed that early voting will continue through July 25th, providing enough time for residents to cast ballots even if the start is delayed. Homebound voting calls have also been postponed to protect staff and vulnerable voters. Residents seeking homebound services or voter registration should contact the commission. The staff will continue to monitor official guidance from Homeland Security regarding site safety. And a reminder, there's a lot that you can do with the Guam Election Commission online. So gec.gov.guam on the World Wide Web, or just Google Guam Election Commission, and the correct URL will pop up. And retired Navy Commander Alan Riggs achieved a rare milestone this Independence Day by performing Morning Colors on Guam for the second time in 50 years. On July 4th, 1976, Riggs raised the American flag on the USS Theodore Roosevelt in Apra Harbor for the nation's bicentennial. Saturday, the 77-year-old veteran returned to Naval Base Guam to perform the honor once again on the USS Annapolis. As Guam marked the first sunrise on American soil, Riggs remains the only officer to hold this distinction for both major anniversaries. He celebrated the occasion alongside his wife and sons, and to that we say congratulations, Commander Riggs. I think that's spectacular. And also felt a little bit of, tugging at my patriotic heartstrings as I watched some video of the ball in New York City falling. And as it fell, as it was counting down the space between the top and the bottom, sending out images of Guam and our villages. I thought that was fantastic. And one of those things, unfortunately, is we were all busy getting ready for the typhoon to make its way into the Mariana Islands. Unfortunately, I think we missed a whole lot of that kind of thing. Hope there will be reruns, if you will, of the Independence Day celebrations that we had. A lot of the stuff that got canceled. I feel bad for Saipan. They generally have a parade on the 4th of July, and they weren't able to celebrate it the way they normally do. Weather. Yeah, let's take a look at weather now. Where's the weather? Hold on. No, not that one. There's a weather music. This is me practicing for real, Joe. There it is. At 8 o'clock this morning, they came out with another statement over at the National Weather Service. Stand by as I recite it to you. Super Typhoon Bobby, bulletin number 20. Catastrophic Category 5 Super Typhoon Bobby continues its passage through the Mariana Islands. Eyewall passage now occurring over Rhoda. Stand by. Zoom Earth. Reanimation. Let's go. There are no changes with this advisory. A little bit of update here. Extreme wind warning is in effect for Rhoda. Widespread destructive winds in excess of 150 miles an hour are occurring as we speak. A typhoon warning is in effect for Guam, Rhoda, Tinian, Saipan, and surrounding coastal waters. Typhoon force winds 74 miles an hour or more are occurring or imminent. Same for other warnings now for Alamagan. For tropical storm warnings up there and in Pagan and Agrihan. But we don't live there, and I don't think the signal gets there, so it's okay. As of 7 this morning, it was at 14.2 degrees north, 145.5 east, about 20 miles east of Luta, 55 miles south of Tinian, and 65 miles southwest of Saipan, 70 miles to the northeast of Guam. About 150 miles north of Anatahan, and the numbers get bigger depending on how far up the chain we're going. Max sustained winds, 180 miles an hour still, and as you can see, Zoom Earth as that eye wall begins now to make landfall over Rhoda. Present movement, west-northwest, 290 degrees, moving at 9 miles an hour. Looking to see if there's any other blips in here that I need. It is expected to maintain this general course with an increase in forward speed through Tuesday. The latest forecast track continues to point to an imminent passage of the eye of Bobby over Rhoda over the next several hours. Well, that's obviously happening now. Max sustained winds at 180 miles an hour. Catastrophic winds associated with the eye wall of Bobby are occurring over the entirety of Rhoda through this morning. It is forecast to remain near this intensity through Tuesday as it passes through the Marianas today and pulls out of the west on Tuesday. Typhoon force winds extending outward from the center up to 60 miles an hour. And I believe that we are in that radius here for some of it. Tropical storm force winds extend outward from the center up to 230 miles to the north, up to 185 miles to the south. Doesn't make much difference if you're looking at the Zoom Earth. Looks like Guam is in all of that band activity right now, and that is explaining why we're getting so much rain and significant wind pushing that rain right now. There will be another advisory issued by the National Weather Service. This one will be at 11. That's an intermediate advisory. The next scheduled advisory will be at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So synchronize your watches and let's get ready for all of that. Now, I'm trying to sort out how I want to handle the next little bit here. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to reach out to anybody else. If Cy was going to be able to make a phone call, he would have already made the call. And if Brad was able to talk to us, he would have already been able to talk to us. I think my plan now, like I said, I'm going to leave the feed up, just like I did before. I'm going to leave the Typhoon Zoom Earth up on the screen as well. If we are not in it now, we're getting close to the closest point of approach for Super Typhoon Bobby to Guam. And just because we achieve CPA, which is an interesting concept, just because we've received or at the closest point of approach doesn't mean we're out of it. We've, as the same way that it took all of this time to get us into these weather conditions that we're experiencing right now, it will likewise take us some time to get out of it. We're looking at the southeastern quadrant of the storm, generally a pretty strong part of it. And as I said, we're in some heavy winds right now and some heavy rains. And it looks like, from my non-meteorological school, but just general experience, it looks like we're going to be in this for several more hours. As I said, I anticipated getting stranded here at the radio station. Not that that's a bad thing. The air conditioning is working, and the generator is on, knock on wood. That doesn't change anytime soon. And I will, as need be, go back on the air here while this feed is on. At some point, perhaps around 8:30, I may decide to pull the plug on this feed, at which time we're not on the radio. Like stations are up, they're transmitting, but there's no program getting to them right now. Dash it all. But it is what it is. And so if there's anything else that I think I need to include in the conversation, then I will go back on Facebook Live and with the reel there, and then share that on The Point. That's been a pretty effective way for us to be able to communicate over the last couple of days, and it might be the way that we communicate moving forward here on 93.3 The Point. I want to thank you very much for listening to the broadcast. Thank you for the contributions on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm loving the pictures and the videos that are coming in. Wish I could play them all. I obviously can't, although I've got them in a place where I might be able to send them to a CapCut or something like that, and show off some of the things that you're seeing. So by all means, don't stop sending them to me. Wait, I'll put it this way. Keep sending them to me. The meme machine is always online, 671-797-8255. And love to see what it is that you guys are coming up with the weird views out your windows and on the balconies of some crazy and incredible weather. As I said, I'm going to break away here. We'll come back. Maybe I'll do 8:30 news, see if I can back you up with recent and new weather information, and then probably conclude the broadcast for Super Typhoon Bobby morning at that time. All right, stand by. We'll jump back in and see what Jose has decided to play for us.
Strategies and the moments that decide guilt or innocence. This is Crime and Justice with Donna Rotuno. New episodes weekly. Watch and listen on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Every hour of every day, Fox News Radio is there with the latest breaking news and information you rely on.
This is a Fox News Alert.
I'm Lisa Brady.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
With Fox News correspondents around the globe.
At the White House, Simon Owen in London.
On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The news that matters most to you. The top headlines, all in one place. Listen and follow the Fox News Hourly Update at foxnewspodcasts.com or ask your smart speaker to play Fox News. What if the most dangerous killers weren't hiding in the shadows, but living right next door? Fox Nation Investigates presents The Killer Next Door.
Bodies were appearing everywhere. People went missing. Bodies were coming up on the ocean.
Once they put my brother John into Gacy's house, you kind of knew he didn't come out.
Go to foxtruecrime.com for more series like this or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
I'm Benjamin Hall, Fox News senior correspondent and New York Times best-selling author, and I'm searching for heroes. Every Monday, I'll speak with a few silent but noteworthy heroes, everyday people who illuminate stories of compassion and are true embodiments of heroism. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast, Searching for Heroes with Benjamin Hall, wherever you download podcasts, and please leave a rating and a review.
From around the world,
Trey Yingst, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel.
To Washington,
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. The Fox True Crime Podcast presents a chilling new series, Hitmen, Murder for Hire. From twisted love triangles to cold, calculated revenge. These are the cases where people try to outsource murder and the shocking ways those plots came undone. Behind every scheme are real people, real decisions, and real consequences that change lives forever. Hitmen, Murder for Hire. New episodes every Tuesday all May. Only on the Fox True Crime Podcast. Available at foxtruecrime.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Welcome back to the 250 most impactful moments in American history.
October 12, 2000, the guided missile destroyer USS Cole pulled into the port of Aden, Yemen for a routine refueling stop. It was a radiant morning in the Gulf, and the 17-story warship, one of the most capable in the U.S. Navy, stood as a symbol of American strength in the region. Around 11:18 a.m., a small motorized workboat approached the side of the destroyer. The two men on board waved to the sailors on deck, appearing to be assisting with the refueling operation. But as the craft drew alongside the hull, the friendly gesture revealed a deadly trap. The boat was packed with hundreds of pounds of plastic explosives. The blast ripped a 40 by 40 foot hole through the steel hull, tearing into the ship's galley where sailors were lining up for lunch. 17 sailors were killed instantly, and 37 more were wounded as the crew fought for hours to keep the ship from sinking.
An explosion claimed the lives of at least 4 sailors on one of our naval vessels, the USS Cole, this morning. If, as it now appears, this was an act of terrorism, it was a despicable and cowardly act. We will find out who was responsible and hold them accountable.
The attack was soon linked to a growing terrorist network called Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. The group announced itself onto the world stage only 2 years earlier with the bombing of 2 U.S. embassies in Eastern Africa. But this was a warning that terrorism had evolved from small-scale threats to coordinated state-level attacks against the U.S. military. The bombing of the USS Cole remains a grim milestone in modern history. It was the final prelude, less than a year later, to the September 11th attacks, forever changing how the United States would approach global security and the growing threat of radical extremism. Kirk Lippold, former USS Cole commander, joined Chris Foster of Fox News Radio.
USS Cole is an Arleigh Burke-class Aegis guided missile destroyer. It was commissioned into the Navy in June 1996, and it has the capability of doing both surface, air, and anti-submarine operations. It carries a towed array sonar behind the ship. It was an earlier design of guided missile destroyer, what they call a Flight 1. So we had a helicopter landing deck where we could land helicopters, refuel, rearm them, but we could not keep them on board like the later designs could do. So extremely capable platform, principally designed to protect an aircraft carrier strike group, but also project power if necessary with 90 vertical launch cells on board the ship, 5-inch gun, so we can do surface-to-air missiles, Tomahawk missiles, anti-submarine rockets. So a very capable platform.
So this was just a quick stop in Yemen, right? You were just there fueling up, and it's a working port, not a military installation. So that explains how this little boat filled with explosives was able to get so close.
Absolutely. We pulled into Aden, Yemen. We were below 50% fuel, expecting to take on a little over 250,000 gallons of fuel, expecting a fueling rate of 300 to 500 gallons an hour. So we were going to be there at least 6 to 8 hours. When we pulled alongside the pier to refuel, we shut down the 4 main engines. We left 2 of our 3 2,500 kilowatt gas turbine generators running. We contracted for 3 garbage barges to come out. 2 came out, 1 to the middle of the ship, 1 to the back of the ship, and the crew loaded up with trash, plastic, and hazmat. They left, and we were expecting a 3rd boat. What we didn't know is that Al-Qaeda had been there for a year watching routine harbor operations. We were the 27th Navy ship to pull into that port. They had brought in a boat from Saudi Arabia. They had attempted an attack 9 months before the attack on Cole that failed. They recovered the boat and the explosives. Now they built them into the boat, so you couldn't even tell they were there. And that boat came and approached Cole, turned by the bow, came down the side of the ship, went to the middle where the previous garbage barge had been. That's how it got inside the security perimeter and detonated. What we didn't know is there was no intel or training to expect a waterborne improvised explosive device that detonated, blowing pieces of boat and bomber, and then blew a 40 by 40 foot hole in the side of the ship.
Now, were they lucky with the placement and the timing to set up that explosion under the galley during lunchtime, or was that just pure luck?
I think it was fortuitous timing on the part of Al-Qaeda. When they aimed for the middle of the ship, what I actually think they intended to do was break the ship in half and let it sink right there at the harbor. The force of the explosion was so powerful that damage extended across 60 of the 66 feet. It hit at the widest part of the ship. But also, when we pulled in that morning, we were in 36 feet of water. It literally blew a 20-foot wide, 4-foot deep crater under the ship and lifted that 8,400 tons and 505 feet of fighting steel up and toward the pier. And as we settled back down in the water, lights went out, power failed, and the crew reacted magnificently, despite the fact that we lost the announcing system to tell them what had happened, where to go, or what to do.
You weren't in the galley. How far away were you approximately? What did the explosion feel like to you? And I assume you knew in quite short order how bad this was and what you were dealing with.
When the explosion went off, I was actually in my cabin on the starboard side in the forward superstructure area. The blast hit and projected right into the galley area, the mess line, and really what bore the brunt of the blast was directly beneath that was main engine room number 1 in the general workshop. And it literally devastated that. You could walk down into the galley area, and as you stood at the edge of the blast hole itself, from the side of the ship into that point, it was over 20 feet deep and was just a large cavern. And now as I stood there at the edge of that blast hole, within a few minutes after the explosion itself, I could hear the live electrical wires dipping into that fuel. And we thought not only we had a devastating explosion, now we're going to have a major fire on our hands.
So were the firefighting efforts like? Were the life-saving efforts like? 17 sailors lost their lives, but I'm sure everybody just sprang into action as best they could to save the people that were injured and to knock that fire down.
The crew did an absolutely phenomenal job. As I mentioned, when the explosion hit, it knocked our 1MC, or the announcing system for the ship, offline, and the backup system failed. So nobody could tell the crew what had happened, where to go, what to do. They fell back on their training. And despite 20% of the crew either killed or injured in the blast, when they showed up at their general quarters station and people were missing, they stepped up into those now vacant positions. They divided into one of 3 groups: damage control to save the ship, triage to save their wounded shipmates, and security to make sure that we didn't have any additional boats that meant us harm come alongside the ship. And all this was done. We were able to get that ship stable in a little over an hour. And that first day, we would evacuate 33 wounded off the ship in 99 minutes. And as a testament to that 100% CPR qualified crew, 32 of those 33 survived. And over the next few days, we would have several people with ruptured eardrums that had been in the vicinity of the blast. Their injuries manifested itself, and they were evacuated off. And that's where you came up with the ultimate total of, unfortunately, 17 sailors killed and 37 wounded.
Also, tell people about what you and the crew went through after the bombing to keep the coal from sinking, and why was that so important to you as opposed to just abandoning ship with everybody?
Well, I mean, all you have to do is go to the U.S. Naval Academy to Memorial Hall and look up, and you'll see this big blue flag hangs there that says, "Don't give up the ship." That is part of the Navy's heritage and history. We aren't going to give up the ship. And the crew knew that we were going to do whatever it takes to keep that ship afloat. Not only did they save the ship that first day, but 3 days later, in the middle of the night, when our only operating generator quit because of fuel starvation, and we attempted to restart it, and we were unable to do that, early Sunday morning, we were sitting there alongside the pier in Aden without power, and the ship was slowly beginning to sink. But God loves sailor ingenuity. They literally took a pump down into main engine room number 2, cut a hole in the side of the ship, put the hoses out, and were able to stabilize the floodwaters that were slowly rising. And then it was amazing. They then took portable high pressure air packs and recharged the flask for the generator. And then early Monday morning, 5 minutes after midnight, we restarted number 3 generator, restored power to the ship, got the floodwaters out, and then we stayed power for the rest of the time we were in port.
Former Navy Commander Kurt Lippold, commanding officer of the USS Cole, when it was attacked on October 12th, 2000. Sir, it was good to talk to you.
We'll be back with more impactful moments right after this.
The IRS, the world's most aggressive collection agency. They can seize your property, bank account, and garnish your wages. They cause sleepless nights for millions of Americans. Don't be one of them. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, get protected today. Call 800-242-3186. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-242-3186. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-242-3186.
Sponsored by Coast One Financial Group.
Hello, everyone. This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
Neil McDonough portrays Jesus. Stacey Keach, Sean Astin, Michael York, and Kristen Bell provide the voices for some of Jesus' notable followers. A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told, The Life of Jesus.
Make sure to spread the word.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Every weekday, it's your go-to source for staying informed and entertained. The Fox News Primetime Highlights Podcast, offering a curated selection of the most impactful moments of the Ingram Angle, Jesse Waters Primetime, Hannity, and Gutfeld. Listen and follow now so you never miss a moment of the action-packed highlights from these must-watch Fox News Channel shows. Go to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. America's listening to Fox News. History isn't just in textbooks. It's the story of us, the United States. 2026 marks 250 years of America. And throughout the year, Bill Hemmer takes listeners on a journey through the 250 most impactful moments in American history. From the spark of revolution to the battles for freedom, the ideas, inventions, and decisions that changed the world. The 250 most impactful moments in American history podcast. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com.
What it is, welcome to Planet Tyrus, where we bag up the BS and we spread nothing but the truth. This is my show now. So this podcast, we're going to talk a lot about different things, a lot of things about what it is to be a, quote, alpha male and dismissing things like toxic masculinity and all the woke stuff that was kind of dumped on our heads. Like, we need to get back to just being people again, you know, the bro code, wingmans, buddies, friendships. Let's just keep it real.
Listen on Apple, Spotify, or at Planet Tyrus on YouTube. You never know who might be taking the quiz.
Hi, I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist.
Hey everyone, it's Phil Simms.
Hey everyone, it's Danica McKellar. It's Candace Bushnell.
I'm Jeremiah Brown.
Hey everyone, I'm Kix Brooks.
I'm John Taffer.
I'm Jennifer Aiden.
Everybody's Kevin Nealon. It's Mr. Wonderful here, and it's time to take the quiz.
5 questions in less than 5 minutes every day. Listen and follow at thequiz.fox.
She's built a career taking on the toughest cases. Now, criminal defense attorney Donna Rotuno steps out of the courtroom and into the headlines, breaking down the biggest crime stories, shocking the nation, uncovering evidence, strategies, and the moments that decide guilt or innocence. Courts, cameras, consequences. This is Crime and Justice with Donna Rotuno. New episodes weekly. Watch and listen on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It's Will Kane Country.
You really got me on the Van slip-ons. I know it. I know. Let's say you're at a wedding and you go on the dance floor. I'm not a big dancer. You know when you've done a move that you hope's not on video. I know when I'm putting on my Vans that I hope nobody sees me. I got 2 Dobermans. Does that help? My 2 Dobermans flanking left and right in my Vans.
Get the podcast 5 days a week at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. From around the world,
Trey Yingst, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel.
To Washington.
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Welcome back to the 250 most impactful moments in American history.
April 12, 1955. For decades, the arrival of summer meant the arrival of terror, a silent, invisible enemy that paralyzed children and emptied public swimming pools. Polio was the great American shadow, a disease that struck without warning and left leg braces and breathing machines in its wake. On this day, the tension finally broke. At the University of Michigan, officials gathered to announce the results of the largest field trial in medical history. Dr. Jonas Salk, a dedicated researcher, had found the key. Without a patent attached to the discovery, the life-saving vaccine remained entirely affordable. April 12, 1955, 10 years to the day after the death of the nation's most famous polio survivor, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the news flashed across the wire. The vaccine was safe, it was potent and effective. The FDA granted approval for mass distribution. Church bells rang out across the country, and strangers hugged in the streets. It wasn't just a medical triumph, it was a collective sigh of relief from a nation that had been holding its breath for 30 years. Salk's breakthrough ushered in a new era of public health. Now, human ingenuity could systematically erase a scourge from the face of the earth. The approval of the polio vaccine remains the moment America traded fear for faith in science, ensuring that the summer sun would never again be synonymous with a silent threat. Lisa Brady with more.
Dr. Peter Salk, son of Jonas Salk, an adjunct professor with the University of Pittsburgh's School of Public Health. So I want to begin with some of his history, and I'm wondering, as a son and a fellow scientist, how would you introduce Dr. Jonas Salk? What drove his passion for virology and public health?
Let me just start out with something very early in his life, which is that when he was a young child, he used to pray that he could do something to help humanity. And I think that was just a thread that ran throughout his life and drove him in everything that he did. He ended up going into science when he was in college, took a chemistry course, and that just really appealed to him. He went on to medical school, knowing that he wasn't wanting to practice medicine on an individual basis, but he wanted to go into research to try and do something that could be of broader application to helping human health.
Take us back to the peak of the polio epidemic. I know it had become one of the most feared diseases in the world, paralyzing and killing thousands of children every year. So what was the atmosphere in the country like at that point?
The people were just terrified because these epidemics were getting worse and worse, and there was no way of predicting where they were going to happen, whose child would be affected, and parents were just absolutely panicky about it, and with very good reason. The largest epidemic in this country took place in 1952. There were around 58,000 people that came down with polio. About 21,000 were paralyzed, and quite a number of those ended up dying. So this was just something that was on everyone's mind.
And for anyone who doesn't know, how does polio spread?
You know, there's still some controversy about this. It spreads in two ways. One way is the virus gets into the mouth, it grows in the pharynx or the throat, gets into the intestines, and that's the primary source of where it then continues to grow from the intestinal tract. What ends up happening is that the virus gets into the bloodstream, travels through the bloodstream to the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord, and there it infects the nerve cells that control the muscles, and it kills them. So that's where the paralysis results from. In order to protect against that consequence of being infected with polio, what's necessary is to have antibodies in the bloodstream. And antibodies are something that the body makes to recognize foreign materials and then take care of them fundamentally. So if a person has had a previous polio virus infection, and that can happen, or is infected again, at that point, there would be antibodies in the bloodstream that would protect the individual from having the virus travel to the brain and the spinal cord and do more damage. The virus then is excreted in the feces, in the stool, and the bowel movements, and can spread in case of poor sanitation. It can spread easily through that route. It also can be spread through coughing and sneezing. The reason that the epidemics were getting worse and worse is because the world was cleaning up its act. In many parts of the world, sanitation was improving to the extent that, but here's the interesting thing, is that the virus, before good sanitation, it was so prevalent in the environment that young infants were infected very early on because it was just everywhere. And the advantage of that is that their mothers had previously been infected in the same sort of way, and the mothers would transmit antibodies to the young children, starting when they're still in the womb and then continuing through the breast milk. So the children would be infected by the poliovirus at a time when they were protected against any paralytic damage. And that was a good thing, so to speak. As we began to clean up our act, then when the children were born, the virus was no longer hanging around everywhere, so to speak, and it wouldn't be until much later in their life that they would get exposed way beyond the point when they were being protected by their mother's antibodies. So that's the reason that epidemics began to start happening rather than just a few cases here and there.
How did your father's approach to developing a vaccine lead to a breakthrough? What was different about it?
The main thing there is that it had been thought for many, many years that for a viral infection like influenza or polio, it wasn't possible to immunize using a virus that would be killed or inactivated. You could do that sort of thing with some bacterial diseases, but it was felt that you couldn't for a viral disease. And my father was taught early on in medical school that that was sort of the way things were. And he just couldn't understand why that should be. And he began to approach that question even while he was in medical school, working with one of his professors, Thomas Francis Jr., to begin work towards an influenza, another viral disease, an influenza vaccine using killed or inactivated influenza viruses. After he finished his medical training, he went back and worked with Dr. Francis further, who had moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the University of Michigan. And Dr. Francis's team, with my father as a significant member of it, indeed created the first successful vaccine against influenza. In the work that took place during World War II, it was introduced very shortly thereafter, both in the armed forces and in the general population. My father then went on to the University of Pittsburgh, where he had the opportunity to continue work along those lines with polio.
When this vaccine was declared safe and effective, though, and authorized by the federal government that same day, it did make your father kind of instantly famous, an international hero, really. How did that change his life and your family's life?
Well, things became very complicated all the way around. There was some good to it, but it was also a great distraction to my father. But ultimately, what ended up happening is he wanted to continue this kind of effort to help do good things for humanity. He wanted to set up a new institute for experimental medicine. And indeed, what he was thinking at that time, this was just a couple of years after the polio vaccine had been introduced, he was thinking that in addition to doing traditional kind of medical work with diabetes and heart disease and so on and so forth, that the people who would come together would be interested in addressing the problems that arise from man's relationship to man. Now, forgive the male voice there. That's the way, that was the expressions of the times.
Human to human, in essence.
It's indeed. It's the problems that arise in humanity from our relationships with each other as human beings, which we really do need to work on. And indeed, my father placed a great deal of attention in the later part of his life on efforts to try and help us think through what we need as a species to be successful as we continue into the future, and having to do with how we relate to each other on this planet.
Dr. Peter Salk, son of Jonas Salk, an adjunct professor with the University of Pittsburgh's School of Public Health. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, Lisa. Thanks.
We'll be back with more impactful moments right after this.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There is a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-smoker can get $1 million of coverage for $75 per month level rate for 10 years, or a man age 50 non-smoker can obtain $500,000 coverage for a month premium of $110 level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call Term Busters today for a quote at 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, 1-800-908-7636. Rate and availability may vary by state. Sample quotes based on preferred
Quarter away from 9 o'clock in the morning, and in the meantime, since I was last on the air, I was sounding the ship basically, and found that I've got significant water ingress in a place where, based on the electronics and the electricity, we should not have significant water ingress. So I'm going to be shutting down the electricity to the entire radio station. I wish I could stay on the air with you, but I think this warrants a more prudent and cautious approach. So we'll return to the air when it's safe for us to return to the air after we've cleared up all the water jamming up our systems. Stay safe.